Hi guys, this is Hirosaki. This story is all about what if Naruto had the blood of both Shinto Greek gods. Naruto Uchiha, the son of Hades, grandson of the Amaterasu, and great-grandson of the Chaos. Dark Naruto, smart Naruto. Find out here. Welcome aboard. Chapter 7, Lord of the Bathroom. Once Percy got over the fact that his Latin teacher was a half-horse, he and Naruto had a nice tour, though they were careful not to walk behind him, because you can never trust a horse's backside. They passed the volleyball pit. Several of the campers nudged each other. One pointed to the minotaur horn Percy was carrying. Another said, "It's them." Most of the campers were older than both. Their satyr friends were bigger than Grover, all of them trotting around in orange Camp Half-Blood t-shirts, with nothing else to cover their bare shaggy hindquarters. Percy wasn't normally shy, but the way they stared at him made him uncomfortable. He felt like they were expecting him to do a flip or something. As for Naruto, he didn't care. Percy looked back at the farmhouse. It was a lot bigger than he did realize, 4 stories tall, sky blue with white trim, like an upscale seaside resort. He was checking out the brass eagle weather vane on top when something caught his eye, a shadow in the uppermost window of the attic gable. Something had moved the curtain, just for a second, and he got the distinct impression he being watched. "What's up there?" Percy asked Chiron. Chiron looked where Percy was pointing, and his smile faded. "Just the attic. Somebody lives there?" "No," Chiron said with finality. "Not a single living thing." Naruto looked at the window of the attic and thought, nothing leaving. "Come along, Percy and Naruto," Chiron said, his light-hearted tone now a little forced. "Lots to see." They walked through the strawberry fields, where campers were picking bushels of berries while a satyr played a tune on a reed pipe. Chiron told them the camp grew a nice crop for export to New York restaurants and Mount Olympus. "It pays our expenses," Chiron explained. "And the strawberries take almost no effort." He said Mr. D had this effect on fruit-bearing plants, they just went crazy when he was around. It worked best with wine grapes, but Mr. D restricted from growing those, so they grew strawberries instead. Naruto watched the satyr playing his pipe. His music was causing lines of bugs to leave the strawberry patch in every direction, like refugees fleeing a fire. Interesting, it is like sound-based ninjutsu, he thought. Then he heard Percy ask Chiron about Grover. "Grover won't get in too much trouble, will he?" Percy asked Chiron. "I mean, he was a good protector." "Really?" Chiron sighed. He shed his tweed jacket and draped it over his horse's back like a saddle. "Grover has big dreams, Percy. Perhaps bigger than being reasonable. To reach his goal, he must first prove great courage by succeeding as a keeper, finding a new camper and bringing him safely to Half-Blood Hill. But he did that." "I might agree with you," Chiron said. "But it is not my place to judge. Dionysus and the Council of Cloven Elders must decide. I'm afraid they might not see this assignment as a success. After all, Grover lost you and Naruto in New York. Then there's the unfortunate fate of your mother. And the fact that Grover was unconscious when you dragged him over the property line. It was Naruto who killed the Minotaur. The council might question whether this shows any courage on Grover's part." Percy wanted to protest. None of what happened was Grover's fault. He also felt really guilty. If he hadn't given Grover the slip at the bus station, he might not have gotten in trouble. "He'll get a second chance, won't he?" Chiron winced. "I'm afraid that was Grover's second chance, Percy." The council was not anxious to give him another, either, after what happened the first time, 5 years ago. "Olympus knows, I advised him to wait longer before trying again. He's still so small for his age." "How old is he?" "Oh, 28. "What? And he's in 6th grade? Satyrs mature half as fast as humans, Percy. Grover has been the equivalent of a middle school student for the past 6 years. That is surprising," Naruto thought. "That's horrible," Percy said. "Quite," Chiron agreed. "At any rate, Grover is a late bloomer, even by satyr standards, and not yet very accomplished at woodland magic." Alas, he was anxious to pursue his dream. Perhaps now he will find some other career. "That's not fair," Percy said. "What happened the first time? Was it really so bad?" Chiron looked away quickly. "Yes, Talia turned into a tree," Naruto thought. Let's move along, shall we? Chiron said. Chiron, Percy said. If the gods and Olympus and all that are real. Yes, child. Does that mean the underworld is real, too? Chiron's expression darkened. He looked at Naruto for a split second, but Naruto caught it. Yes, child. He paused, as if choosing his words carefully. There is a place where spirits go after death. But for now, until we know more, I would urge you to put that out of your mind. What do you mean, until we know more? Come Percy, Naruto. Let's see the woods. As they got closer, Percy and Naruto realized how huge the forest was. It took up at least a quarter of the valley, with trees so tall and thick, you could imagine nobody had been in there since the Native Americans. Chiron said, the woods are stocked, if you care to try your luck, but go armed. Stocked with what? Percy asked. Armed with what? You'll see. Capture the flag is Friday night. Do you have your own sword and shield? Percy asked both. Percy said, my own? No, Chiron said. I don't suppose you do. I think a size 5 will do. I'll visit the armory later. Then he looked at Naruto. I already have a weapon, Naruto said. With black flash a black katana appeared in his hand. Chiron saw a weapon. He sensed that death aura was coming from it. Where did he get that kind weapon? Percy wanted to ask what kind of summer camp had an armory, but there was too much else to think about, so the tour continued. He saw the archery range, the canoeing lake, the stables, the javelin range, the sing-along amphitheater, and the arena where Chiron said they held sword and spear fights. Sword and spear fighting? Percy asked. Cabin challenges and all that, Chiron explained. Not lethal. Usually. Oh, yes, and there's the mess hall. He pointed to an outdoor pavilion framed in white Grecian columns on a hill overlooking the sea. There were a dozen stone picnic tables. No roof. No walls. What do you do when it rains? Percy asked. Chiron looked at him as if I'd gone a little weird. We still have to eat, don't we? Percy decided to drop the subject. Finally, he showed him the cabins. There were 12 of them, nestled in the woods by the lake. Naruto had already seen them earlier. Chiron, Naruto said. Yes, Chiron said. I had already seen all of this. So, I will meet you later. Chiron nodded and Naruto disappeared from view. Naruto reappeared front of Talia's tree. He touched the tree and entered in limbo. Inside limbo, Naruto looked Talia, she was sitting on the floor. He said, hey. Talia saw Naruto. Naruto, what are you doing here? She asked. I did promise you, so I'm here to tell you my story. Naruto sat beside her. Your story? Yes, I am from another world. Naruto said. This surprised Talia. He told her his story of his birth. He told her about shinobi, ninja, chakra, etc. How did you get here? Naruto said, that story was another time, but first, this is for you. He took the necklace. It was a blue stone that attached by black string. The Japanese kanji of the dragon was written on it. What is this? Talia asked. My gift. Naruto puts the necklace on her neck. Talia saw the necklace. It is beautiful, she said. It is special. If you ever want to talk with me or want my help, just touch that stone on a necklace. I will always there for you, Naruto said, and he stood up. Thanks Naruto, Talia said. She kissed Naruto on his cheek. Slight blush was visible on her cheek. You are welcome, Naruto said with his own blush was on his face. He disappeared from there. Talia looked at necklace with a small smile on her lips. With Percy. You said your name was Chiron. Are you really? Percy asked. Chiron smiled down at Percy. The Chiron from the stories? Trainer of Hercules and all that? Yes, Percy, I am. He said. But, shouldn't you be dead? Chiron paused and said, I honestly don't know about should be. The truth is, I can't be dead. You see, eons ago the gods granted my wish. I could continue the work I loved. I could be a teacher of heroes as long as humanity needed me. I gained much from that wish. And I gave up much. But I'm still here, so I can only assume I'm still needed. Percy thought about being a teacher for 3,000 years. He asked, doesn't it ever get boring? No, Chiron said. Horribly depressing, at times, but never boring. Why depressing? Chiron seemed to turn hard of hearing again. Oh, look, he said. Annabeth is waiting for us. Percy saw Annabeth was reading a book in front of the last cabin on the left, number 11. When they reached her, she looked him over critically, like she was still thinking about how much he drooled. Percy tried to see what she was reading, but he couldn't make out the title. Percy thought, was my dyslexia acting up? Then he realized the title wasn't even English. The letters looked Greek. There were pictures of temples and statues and different kinds of columns, like architecture book. Annabeth, Chiron said, I have master's archery class at noon. Take Percy from here. Yes, sir. Cabin 11, Chiron told Percy, gesturing toward the doorway. Make yourself at home. He left both alone. Where is Naruto? Annabeth asked to Percy. I'm here, Naruto said, from behind her. Annabeth dropped her book and moved away from the spot. She saw Naruto. Don't do that? She shouted. Naruto ignored her and he picked up a book, which she had dropped on the ground. He opened a front page and started reading it. HM. Interesting book, he said. Annabeth surprised at this. She asked, you can read it? Yes, I know Greek, Japanese, English, French, Latin etc., etc. Really? Annabeth said. Yes. Naruto gave her back her book. Annabeth took the book from him. Wow, she said. Again, Naruto succeeded to impress the girl, Percy thought. They looked inside cabin of all the cabins. It looked the most like a regular old summer camp cabin, with the emphasis on the old. The threshold worn down, the brown paint peeling. Over the doorway was one of those doctor's symbols, a winged pole with two snakes wrapped around it. Inside, it packed with people, both boys and girls, way more than the number of bunk beds. Sleeping bags spread all over on the floor. It looked like a gym where the Red Cross had set up an evacuation center. Naruto and Percy stood in the doorway, looking at the kids. They were staring at them. Well? Annabeth prompted. Go on. Percy entered into the cabin and tripped coming in the door and made a total fool of him. Good impression, Percy, Naruto said, which got snickers from the campers. He and Annabeth walked inside. Annabeth announced, Percy Jackson and Uchiha Naruto meet cabin 11. Regular or undetermined? Somebody asked. Percy didn't know what to say, but Naruto said, undetermined. Everybody groaned. A guy who was a little older than the rest came forward. Now, campers. That's what we're here for. Welcome, Percy and Naruto. You can have that spot on the floor, right over there. The guy was about 19. He was tall and muscular, with short-cropped sandy hair and a friendly smile. He wore an orange tank top, cutoffs, sandals, and a leather necklace with 5 different colored clay beads. The only thing unsettling about his appearance was a thick white scar that ran from just beneath his right eye to his jaw, like an old knife slash. This is Luke, Annabeth said, and her voice sounded different somehow. Naruto raised his eyebrow and Percy glanced over and would have sworn she was blushing. She saw Percy looking, and her expression hardened again. He's your counselor for now. This is luck. I can sense negative emotion coming from him. I have to keep eyes on him, Naruto thought. For now? Percy asked. You're undetermined, Luke explained patiently. They don't know what cabin to put you two in, so you're here. Cabin 11 takes all newcomers, all visitors. Naturally, we would. Hermes, our patron, is the god of travelers. Percy looked at the tiny section of floor they'd given Naruto and him. He had nothing to put there to mark it as his own. Just the Minotaur's horn. But then he remembered that Hermes was also the god of thieves. He looked around at the campers' faces, some sullen and suspicious, some grinning stupidly, some eyeing him as if they were waiting for a chance to pick his pockets. How long will I be here? Percy asked. Good question, Luke said. Until you're determined. How long will that take? The campers all laughed. It will take a long time, Percy, Naruto said. Come on, Annabeth told Percy. I'll show you the volleyball court. I've already seen it. Come on. Annabeth grabbed Percy's wrist and dragged him outside. Naruto saw this and raised his eyebrows at this. While the kids of Cabin 11 were laughing. When they were a few feet away, Annabeth said, "Jackson, you have to do better than that." "What?" Percy asked. Annabeth rolled her eyes and mumbled under her breath, "I can't believe I thought you were the one." "What's your problem?" Percy asked in an angry tone. "All I know is, I fought some bull guy and one more thing, and it was Naruto who had killed him." "Don't talk like that," Annabeth said. "You know how many kids at this camp wish they'd had your chance? To get killed? To fight the Minotaur? What do you think we train for?" Percy shook his head. "Look, if the thing I fought really was the Minotaur, the same one in the stories." "Yes. Then there's only one." "Yes," Annabeth said. "And he died, like, a gazillion years ago, right? Theseus killed him in the labyrinth." "So?" Percy said. "Monsters don't die, Percy. They can be killed." "But they don't die," Naruto said. Both of them looked at Naruto, who suddenly appeared from nowhere. "They don't have souls. You can dispel them for a while, but they are primal forces, archetypes. Eventually, they reform." "Hush," Percy said. "The fur. I mean, your math teacher." "She's still out there," Annabeth said. "How did you know about Mrs. Dodds?" Percy asked. "You talk in your sleep." Percy asked, "You almost called her something. A fury? They're Hades torturers, right?" Annabeth glanced nervously at the ground, as if she expected it to open up and swallow her. "You shouldn't call them by name, even here. We call them the kindly ones, if we have to speak of them at all. Look, is there anything we can say without thundering?" Percy said. "And why do I have to stay in Cabin 11, anyway? Why is everybody so crowded together? There are plenty of empty bunks right over there." He pointed to the first few cabins. Annabeth turned pale. "You don't just choose a cabin, Percy. It depends on who your parents are." "Or your parent," she said. "My mom is Sally Jackson," Percy said. "She works at the candy store in Grand Central Station. At least, she used to." "I'm sorry about your mom, Percy. But that's not what I mean. I'm talking about your other parent. Your dad. He's dead." "I never knew him." "Your father's not dead, Percy," Naruto said. Percy looked confused. "What do you mean, Naruto?" "Your father is God," Naruto said. "What? How else would you be allowed here?" "You are demigod, Percy." "How do I know I am a demigod as they are called?" Percy asked. "Usually, demigods are diagnosed with dyslexia and probably ADHD, too," Annabeth said. Percy asked, "What about Naruto, he doesn't have ADHD?" Annabeth surprised at this. "I can answer your question," Naruto said. Both looked toward him. "First, I am not from this world, and the second is..." He took his kunai from pocket and cut his thumb. Percy and Annabeth both saw his wound healed in few seconds. This surprised both of them. "My healing factor. That's why I don't have ADHD. Anyway, how does ADHD help?" Percy asked. "ADHD is your battlefield reflexes. In a real fight, they'd keep you alive. As for the attention problems, that's because you see too much, Percy, not too little. Your senses are better than a regular mortal's." "Then there is," Annabeth said. She wanted to say more, but she interrupted by someone very familiar to her and Naruto. "Well, a newbie." They looked toward a voice direction. They saw Clarice with her two-cabin mate. "Clarice," Annabeth sighed. "Why don't you go polish your spear or something?" "Sure, Miss Princess," Clarice said. "So, I can run you through with it Friday night." "Vera es Caracas," Annabeth said, which in Greek was "go to the crows." "You don't stand a chance." "We'll pulverize you," Clarice said, but her eye twitched. Perhaps she wasn't sure she could follow through on the threat. She turned toward Naruto. "Hello Clarice," Naruto said. "Hello Naruto," Clarice said in a normal tone. She turned to Percy. "Who's this little runt with you?" "Percy Jackson," Naruto said, "meets Clarice, daughter of Ares." Percy blinked. "Like the war god?" Clarice sneered. "You got a problem with that?" "No," Percy said, recovering my wits. It explains the bad smell. One day he is going to die, because of his big mouth, Naruto thought. Clarice growled. We got an initiation ceremony for newbies, Prissy. Percy. Whatever. Come on, I'll show you. Clarice Annabeth tried to say. Stay out of it, wise girl. Before Percy does anything, Clarice held him by the neck and started dragging him toward the bathroom. He dropped his minotaur horn. Annabeth picked it up. She turned toward Naruto and asked, Naruto, you, save it, Percy is not a kid. He can handle himself, Naruto said. And hopefully after that, he will learn to keep his mouth shut. Percy was kicking and punching. But it was useless, Clarice had hands like iron. She dragged him into the girls' bathroom. There was a line of toilets on one side and a line of shower stalls down the other. It smelled just like any public bathroom. Clarice's friends were all laughing, and Percy was trying to find the strength he did use to fight the Minotaur, but it just wasn't there. Like he's big 3 material, Clarice said as she pushed him toward one of the toilets. Yeah, right. Minotaur probably fell over laughing, he was so stupid looking. Her friends snickered. Annabeth and Naruto stood in the corner. Clarice bent Percy over on his knees and started pushing his head toward the toilet bowl. Naruto felt Percy's energy. Well, this is going to be messy, he said. Annabeth asked, what? They heard the plumbing rumble, the pipes shudder. Clarice's grip on Percy's hair loosened. Water shot out of the toilet, making an arc straight over his head, and he sprawled on the bathroom tiles with Clarice was screaming behind him. Percy turned just as water blasted out of the toilet again, hitting Clarice straight in the face so hard it pushed her down onto her butt. She struggled, gasping, and her friends started coming toward her. But then the other toilets exploded, too, and 6 more streams of toilet water blasted them back. The showers acted up, too, and together all the fixtures sprayed the camouflage girls right out of the bathroom, spinning them around like pieces of garbage being washed away. As soon as they were out the door, the water shut off as quickly as it had started. The entire bathroom flooded. Percy looked toward Annabeth and Naruto. He noticed they were in some kind black transparent dome. They were completely dry. Dome disappeared and Naruto said, very nice Percy, the new lord of the bathroom. Percy looked down and realized he was sitting in a dry spot. There was a circle of dry floor around him and he didn't have one drop of water on his clothes. Nothing. Annabeth said, how did you? I don't know. They walked to the door. Outside, Clarice and her friends sprawled in the mud, and a bunch of other campers had gathered around to gawk. Clarice's hair flattened across her face. Her camouflage jacket was sopping and she smelled like sewage. She gave Percy a look of absolute hatred. You are dead, new boy. You are totally dead, Percy said. You want a gar? Before Percy could say anything, Naruto puts a hand on his mouth. Shut up, Percy, you have a big mouth. Naruto said. Keep it up and you'll get yourself killed. He looked at Clarice. He saw her friends were holding her. Clarice. She looked at him. Sleep. Just like Gabe, she fell asleep. Takes her to your cabin. We don't want another mess, he said to her friend. They all nodded and took her toward cabin 5. He removed his hand on Percy's mouth. Percy saw Annabeth stared at both of them. What? Percy demanded. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, she said, that I want both of you on my team to capture the flag. Chapter 8, Dinner Time. Word of the bathroom incident spread immediately. Wherever they went, campers pointed at Percy and murmured something about toilet water. Annabeth showed Percy a few more places: the metal shop, where kids were forging their own swords, the arts and crafts room, where satyrs were sandblasting a giant marble statue of a goat man, and the climbing wall, which actually consisted of 2 facing walls that shook violently, dropped boulders, sprayed lava, and clashed together if you didn't get to the top fast enough. Naruto was not with them. When they asked where he was going, he told them he was going for training and then disappeared. Finally, both of them returned to the canoeing lake, where the trail led back to the cabins. I've got training to do, Annabeth said. Dinner's at 7:30. Just follow your cabin to the mess hall, and one more thing, you need to talk to the oracle. Who? Percy asked. Not who. What? The oracle. I'll ask Chiron, Annabeth said. Percy stared into the lake, wishing somebody would give him a straight answer for once. He wasn't expecting anybody to be looking back at him from the bottom, so his heart skipped a beat when he noticed two teenage girls sitting cross-legged at the base of the pier, about 20 feet below. They wore blue jeans and shimmering green t-shirts, and their brown hair floated loose around their shoulders as minnows darted in and out. They smiled and waved as if he were a long-lost friend. He didn't know what else to do. He waved back. "Don't encourage them," Annabeth warned. "Naiads are terrible flirts." "Naiads," Percy repeated, feeling completely overwhelmed. "That's it. I want to go home." Annabeth frowned. "Don't you get it, Percy? You are home. This is the only safe place on Earth for kids like us." "That's crazy." "What? I mean, I'm demigod, it's just impossible, but it is true, Percy. What's the most common thing gods did in the old stories? They ran around falling in love with humans and having kids with them. Do you think they've changed their habits in the last few millennia? But those are just," Percy almost said myths again. Then he remembered Chiron's warning. "But if all the kids here are half-gods?" "Demigods," Annabeth said. "That's the official term. Or half-bloods." "Then who's your dad?" Annabeth's hands tightened around the pier railing. "My dad is a professor at West Point," she said. "I haven't seen him since I was very small. He teaches American history. He's human." "What? You assume it has to be a male god who finds a human female attractive? How sexist is that?" "Who's your mom, then?" "Cabin 6. Meaning?" Annabeth straightened. "Athena, goddess of wisdom and battle." "Okay," Percy thought. "Why not?" "And my dad?" he asked. Undetermined, Annabeth said, "Like I told you before. Nobody knows. Except my mother. She knew." "Maybe not, Percy. Gods don't always reveal their identities. My dad would have. He loved her." Annabeth gave me a cautious look. "Maybe you're right. Maybe he'll send a sign." "That's the only way to know. Your father has to send you a sign claiming you as his son." "Sometimes it happens." "You mean sometimes it doesn't?" Annabeth ran her palm along the rail. "The gods are busy. They have a lot of kids and they don't always. Well, sometimes they don't care about us, Percy. They ignore us." Percy thought about some of the kids he did see in the Hermes cabin, teenagers who looked sullen and depressed, as if they were waiting for a call that would never come. "So, I'm stuck here," Percy said. "That's it? For the rest of my life?" "It depends," Annabeth said. "Some campers only stay the summer. If you're a child of Aphrodite or Demeter, you're probably not a real powerful force. The monsters might ignore you, so you can get by with a few months of summer training and live in the mortal world the rest of the year. But for some of us, it's too dangerous to leave. We're year-rounders. In the mortal world, we attract monsters. They sense us. They come to challenge us. Most of the time, they'll ignore us until we're old enough to cause trouble, about 10 or 11 years old, but after that, most demigods either make their way here, or they get killed off. A few manage to survive in the outside world and become famous. Believe me, if I told you the names, you'd know them. Some don't even realize they're demigods. But very, very few are like that." "What do you think who was Naruto's dad?" Percy asked. "Naruto is powerful. His dad must be part of Big Three," Annabeth said. "But this will be not good for him." "Why?" "Children of Big Three are always more powerful than other half-blood. They always attract a powerful monster." "About monsters, they can't get in here?" Annabeth shook her head. "Not unless they're intentionally stalked in the woods or specially summoned by somebody on the inside. Why would anybody want to summon a monster?" "Practice fights." "Practical jokes," someone said from behind him. What?" Percy moved from his spot. He saw it was Naruto. "Don't do that, and what do you mean practical jokes?" It meant before Naruto could say anything. Annabeth stopped him. "Naruto, you can explain him that later," Annabeth said. She looked at Percy. "The borders are sealed to keep mortals and monsters out. From the outside, mortals look into the valley and see nothing unusual, just a strawberry farm." "Because of that big pine tree," Naruto said. Annabeth shocked, she asked, "How did you know that?" My eyes can see the shield that made by the tree, Naruto said. Annabeth somehow relaxed. So? You're a year-rounder? Percy asked her. Annabeth nodded. From under the collar of her t-shirt she pulled a leather necklace with 5 clay beads of different colors. It was just like Luke's, except Annabeth's also had a big gold ring strung on it, like a college ring. I've been here since I was 7, she said. Every August, on the last day of summer session, both of you gets a bead for surviving another year. I've been here longer than most of the counselors, and they're all in college. Why did you come so young? Annabeth twisted the ring on her necklace. None of your business, she said. Percy, Naruto said. You can't question others about their personal life. Annabeth gave him a grateful look. Oh, sorry, Percy said. He stood there for a minute in uncomfortable silence. So? I could just walk out of here right now if I wanted to? It would be suicide, but you could, with Mr. D's or Chiron's permission. But they wouldn't give permission until the end of the summer session unless you were granted a quest. But that hardly ever happens. The last time. Her voice trailed off. Both Naruto and Percy could tell from her tone that the last time hadn't gone well. Back in the sick room, Percy said, when you were feeding me that stuff, ambrosia. Yeah, you asked me something about the summer solstice. Annabeth's shoulders tensed. So, you do know something? Well. No. Back at my old school, me and Naruto overheard Grover and Chiron talks about it. Grover mentioned the summer solstice. He said something like we didn't have much time, because of the deadline. What did that mean? Annabeth clenched her fists. I wish I knew. Chiron and the satyrs, they know, but they won't tell me. Something is wrong with Olympus, something pretty major. Last time I was there, everything seemed so normal. You've been to Olympus? Some of us year-rounders, Luke and Clarice and I and a few others, we took a field trip during winter solstice. That's when the gods have their big annual council. How did you get there? Naruto asked. Annabeth said, the Long Island Railroad, of course. You get off at Penn Station. Empire State Building, special elevator to the 600th floor. Naruto nodded. If there are 600 floors in the Empire State Building, then it has been hidden by illusion or it must in a parallel dimension, he thought. Annabeth looked at Percy like she was sure he must know this already. You are a New Yorker, right? Oh, sure, Percy said. As I knew, there were only 102 floors in the Empire State Building, he thought. Right after we visited, Annabeth continued, the weather got weird, as if the gods had started fighting. A couple of times since, I've overheard satyrs talking. The best I can figure out is that something important was stolen. And if it isn't returned by the summer solstice, there's going to be trouble. When you two came, I was hoping. I mean, Athena can get along with just about anybody, except for Ares. And of course, she's got the rivalry with Poseidon. But, I mean, aside from that, I thought we could work together. I thought you might know something. Percy shook his head. I've got to get a quest, Annabeth muttered to herself. I'm not too young. If they would just tell me the problem. Interesting, it must be important, if all gods are fighting over it, Naruto thought. In cabin 11 everybody was talking and horsing around, waiting for dinner. For the first time, Percy noticed that a lot of the campers had similar features, sharp noses, upturned eyebrows, mischievous smiles. They were the kind of kids that teachers would peg as troublemakers. Nobody paid much attention to him as he walked over to his spot on the floor and plopped down with his minotaur horn. The counselor, Luke, came over. He had the Hermes family resemblance, too. It marred by that scar on his right cheek, but his smile was intact. Found you a sleeping bag, he said. And here, I stole you some toiletries from the camp store. Percy raised an eyebrow, in the stealing part. Thanks, he said. No prob. Luke sat next to him, pushed his back against the wall. Tough first day? But unlike you, it seems that Naruto doesn't have any problem. It's Naruto for you. He is smart and powerful. As for me, I don't belong here, Percy said. I don't even believe in gods. Yeah, Luke said. That's how we all started. Once you start believing in them, it doesn't get any easier. The bitterness in his voice surprised Percy, because Luke seemed like a pretty easygoing guy. He looked like he could handle just about anything. I am just curious how Naruto is powerful. Even the big three children are not that powerful, Luke said. He is from another world, a land called the Elemental Countries, Percy said. He told him about Naruto. Wow. Luke said. After a little minute silence, Percy asked, so your dad is Hermes? Luke pulled a switchblade out of his back pocket, and for a second Percy thought he was going to gut him, but he just scraped the mud off the sole of his sandal. Yeah. Hermes. The wing-footed messenger guy. That's him. Messengers. Medicine. Travelers, merchants, thieves. Anybody who uses the roads. That's why you're here, enjoying Cabin 11's hospitality. Hermes isn't picky about who he sponsors. You ever meet your dad? Percy asked. Once. Percy waited, thinking that if he wanted to tell him more. Apparently, he didn't. Luke looked up and managed a smile. Don't worry about it, Percy. The campers here, they're mostly good people. After all, we've extended family, right? We take care of each other. Percy was grateful about him. He decided to ask him his last big question, the one that had been bothering him all afternoon. Clarice, from Aries, was joking about me being big 3 material. Then Annabeth. Twice, she said I might be the one. She said I should talk to the oracle. What was that all about? Luke folded his knife. I hate prophecies. What do you mean? Luke's face twitched around the scar. Let's just say I mess things up for everybody else. The last 2 years, ever since my trip to the Garden of the Hesperides went sour, Chiron hasn't allowed any more quests. Annabeth's been dying to get out into the world. She pestered Chiron so much he finally told her he already knew her fate. He'd had a prophecy from the oracle. He wouldn't tell her the whole thing, but he said Annabeth wasn't destined to go on a quest yet. She had to wait until somebody special came to the camp. Somebody special? Like Naruto. Don't worry about it, kid, Luke said. I don't know about Naruto. But Annabeth wants to think every new camper who comes through here is the omen she's been waiting for. Now, come on, it's dinner time and where is Naruto? No clue. Both Luke and Percy didn't see Black Raven, who had watching them. They heard a horn blowing in the distance. Luke yelled, 11 fall in. The whole Cabin 11, about 20 of children, filed into the common yard. They lined up in order of seniority, so of course Percy was dead last. Campers came from the other cabins, too, except for the 3 empty cabins at the end, and Cabin 8, which had looked normal in the daytime, but was now starting to glow silver as the sun went down. They marched up the hill to the mess hall pavilion. Satyrs joined them from the meadow. Naiads emerged from the canoeing lake. A few other girls came out of the woods, straight out of the woods. Percy saw one girl, about 9 or 10 years old, melts from the side of a maple tree and comes skipping up the hill. In all, there were maybe 100 campers, a few dozen satyrs, and a dozen assorted wood nymphs and naiads. At the pavilion, torches blazed around the marble columns. A central fire burned in a bronze brazier the size of a bathtub. Each cabin had its own table, covered in white cloth trimmed in purple. 4 of the tables were empty, but Cabin 11's was way overcrowded. Percy saw Naruto was already there. You are late, Percy, Naruto said. He gave the Percy seat next to him. Percy saw Grover was sitting at table 12 with Mr. D, a few satyrs, and a couple of plump blonde boys who looked just like Mr. D. Chiron stood to one side, the picnic table being way too small for a centaur. Annabeth sat at table 6 with a bunch of serious-looking athletic kids, all with her gray eyes and honey blonde hair. Clarice sat behind him at Ares's table. She'd apparently gotten over being hosed down, because she was laughing and belching right along her friends. Finally, Chiron pounded his hoof against the marble floor of the pavilion, and everybody fell silent. He raised a glass. To the gods. Everybody else raised their glasses. To the gods. Wood nymphs came forward with platters of food, grapes, apples, strawberries, cheese, fresh bread, and barbecue. Naruto and Percy saw their glass was empty. Luke said, "Speak to it." "Whatever you want, non-alcoholic, of course." "Black grape juice," Naruto said. His glass filled with dark purpled colored liquid. Percy saw this. Looking at his empty glass, he said, "Blue cherry Coke." The glass filled with sparkling violet liquid. He took a cautious sip. Perfect. Like I drank a toast to my mother, she's not gone, he thought. Not permanently. She's in the underworld. And if that's a real place, then someday. Here you go, Percy, Naruto, Luke said, handing both of them a platter of smoked brisket. Both of them loaded their plates. Percy was about to take a big bite when they noticed everybody getting up, carrying their plates toward the fire in the center of the pavilion. Come on, Luke told them. When they got closer, they saw that everyone was taking a portion of their meal and dropping it into the fire: the ripe strawberry, the juiciest slice of beef, the warmest, most buttery roll. Luke said, burnt offerings for the gods. They like the smell. You're kidding, Percy gave him a deadpan expression. While Naruto raised his ear bow, Luke approached the fire, bowed his head, and tossed in a cluster of fat red grapes. Hermes. Percy was next. I wished I knew what God's name to say, he thought. He made a silent plea. Whoever you are, tell me, please. He scraped a big slice of brisket into the flames. When he caught a whiff of the smoke, it smelled nothing like burning food. It smelled of hot chocolate and fresh-baked brownies, hamburgers on the grill and wildflowers, and 100 other good things that shouldn't have gone well together, but did. Next was Naruto. He throws some his food into flame. Then the smell of sake, chocolate, porky and many good things filled with air. Then suddenly the fire turned pitch black like Amaterasu for a few seconds before turning back normal. Many people saw that, but they didn't say anything. When everybody had returned to their seats and finished eating their meals, Chiron pounded his hoof again for our attention. Mr. D got up with a huge sigh. Yes, I suppose I'd better say hello to all you brats. Well, hello. Our activities director, Chiron, says the next capture the flag is Friday. Cabin 5 presently holds the laurels. A bunch of ugly cheering rose from the Aries table. Personally, Mr. D continued, I couldn't care less, but congratulations. Also, I should tell you that we have a 2 new camper today. Peter Johnson. Chiron murmured something to him. Percy Jackson. Mr. D corrected. And Naruto Uchiha. Now run along to your silly campfire. Go on. Everybody cheered. They all headed down toward the amphitheater, where Apollo's cabin led a sing-along. They sang camp songs about the gods and ate s'mores and joked around, and the funny thing was, Percy didn't feel that anyone was staring at him anymore. He felt that he was home. Naruto, I feel like I am home, Percy said to Naruto, but he saw he was not with him. Like always he is not here, Percy thought. From distance Naruto was watching whole camp. So did you really don't know about my father, Karasuchan? Naruto asked his raven that was standing on his left shoulder. No, Master Naruto, Master Hitomi never told me about him, Karasu said. I believe in you. Naruto looked toward camp. What do you think about this? If your father is God, then this is going to be interesting. Naruto and Karasu both looked at Campers, who was singing camp song. Chapter 9, Game Family Found. The next few days, both Naruto and Percy settled into a routine that felt almost normal. They were getting lessons from satyrs, nymphs, and a centaur. Each morning Percy took ancient Greek from Annabeth and Naruto was there to help her. They talked about the gods and goddesses in the present tense, which was kind of weird to Percy. Percy discovered Annabeth was right about his dyslexia. Ancient Greek wasn't that hard for him to read. At least, it was not harder than English. The rest of the day, they rotate through outdoor activities, looking for something they were good at. Chiron tried to teach Percy archery, but they found out pretty quick that he wasn't any good with a bow and arrow. Foot racing? No good either. The wood nymph instructors left him in the dust. They told him not to worry about it. They'd had centuries of practice running away from lovesick gods. But still, it was a little humiliating to be slower than a tree. And wrestling? Forget it. Every time he got on the mat, Clarice would always pulverize him. The only thing he really excelled at was canoeing, and that wasn't the kind of heroic skill people expected to see from the kid who had fought with the Minotaur. As for Naruto, he was the exact opposite of Percy. Just like school, he was good at all the things. According to Chiron, he was excellent with bows and arrows. In foot racing, he was too fast for his opponent. In wrestling, he threw his opponent out of the ring in his first try. Soon they found Naruto was excellent in using all kinds of weapon. He was best, as people had expected from the kid who had killed the Minotaur. Both of them knew the senior campers and counselors were watching them, trying to figure out who their parent or parents was, but they weren't having an easy time of it. Don't be sad, Percy. You are doing well, Naruto said. Naruto, I saw you. You are best, just like you were doing in school, and I. Percy said sadly. Percy, you can't compare me to you. I am learning the fight from my age 5. I have a real-life fighting experience. Sorry. No problem. What's your next schedule? I had my first sword fighting lesson. Good luck, Naruto said, and he disappeared from there. Everybody from Cabin 11 except Naruto gathered in the big circular arena, where Luke was instructor. They started with basic stabbing and slashing, using some straw-stuffed dummies in Greek armor. Percy was doing okay. At least, he understood what he's supposed to do and his reflexes were good. The problem was he couldn't find a blade that felt right in his hands. Either they were too heavy, or too light, or too long. Luke tried his best to fix his problem, but he agreed that none of the practice blades seemed to work for him. They moved on to dueling in pairs. Luke announced he would be Percy's partner, since this was his first time. Good luck, one of the campers told Percy. Luke was the best swordsman in the last 300 years. Was? Percy asked. 2 days ago, your friend, Naruto easily defeated him. Flashback starts. Luke was attacking Naruto with a sword. He tried to hit him, but it was blocked. Clash. Others heard the sound of Naruto and Luke's swords hitting each other from away. Again Luke dashed toward Naruto. Naruto dodged the sword slash with one side step. Luke's eyes widened how quick Naruto dodged his attack. But it was too late. Naruto stuck his foot out and Luke tripped over it. Naruto snatched Luke's sword and held it in Luke's throat. Flashback ends. That's why Naruto is not here, Percy said. Yes, because not only he won the first round of the match, but also won 3 straight rounds. Maybe he'll go easy on me, Percy said. The camper snorted. Luke showed Percy thrusts and parries and shield blocks the hard way. With every swipe, Percy got a little more battered and bruised. Keep your guard up, Percy, Luke said. He whapped him in the ribs with the flat of his blade. No, not that far up. Whap. Lunge. Whap. Now, back. Whap. By the time Luke called a break, Percy soaked in sweat. Everybody swarmed the drink's cooler. Luke poured ice water on his head, which looked like such a good idea to Percy. He did the same. Instantly, he felt better. Okay, everybody circle up. Luke ordered. If Percy doesn't mind, I want to give you a little demo. Great, Percy thought. Let's all watch Percy gets pounded. The Hermes guys gathered around. They were suppressing smiles. Luke told everybody he was going to prove a disarming technique, how to twist the enemy's blade with the flat of your own sword so that he had no choice but to drop his weapon. This is difficult, Luke stressed. I've had it used against me. No laughing at Percy, now. Most swordsmen have to work years to master this technique. He demonstrated the move on Percy in slow motion. Sure enough, the sword clattered out of his hand. Now in real time, Luke said, after Percy retrieved his weapon. We keep sparring until one of us pulls it off. Ready, Percy? Percy nodded, and Luke came after him. Somehow, Percy kept Luke from getting a shot at the hilt of his sword. Percy's senses opened up. He saw Luke's attacks coming. He countered. He stepped forward and tried a thrust of his own. Luke deflected it easily, but he saw a change in his face. His eyes narrowed, and he started to press him with more force. The sword grew heavy in Percy's hand. The balance wasn't right. He knew it was only a matter of seconds before Luke took him down. Then Percy's blade hit the base of Luke's and he twisted it, putting his whole weight into a down thrust. Clang! Luke's sword rattled against the stones. The tip of his blade was an inch from his undefended chest. The other campers were silent. Percy lowered his sword. Sorry. For a moment, Luke was too stunned to speak. Sorry? His scarred face broke into a grin. By the gods, Percy, why are you sorry? Show me that again. Next time, there was no contest. The moment their swords connected, Luke hit Percy's sword's hilt and sent his weapon skidding across the floor. After a long pause, somebody in the audience said, "Beginner's luck?" Luke wiped the sweat off his brow. He appraised at Percy with an entirely new interest. Maybe, he said. But I wonder what Percy could do with a balanced sword. Friday afternoon, Percy was sitting with Grover and Naruto at the lake, resting from a near-death experience on the climbing wall. Grover and Naruto had scampered to the top without a scratch, but the lava had almost gotten him. His shirt had smoking holes in it. The hairs had been singed off his forearms. They sat on the pier, watching the naiads do underwater. Percy asked Grover how your conversation had gone with Mr. D. Grover's face turned a sickly shade of yellow. Fine, he said. Just great. So, your career's still on track? Naruto asked. He glanced at Naruto and Percy nervously. Chiron T told you I want a searcher's license? Well. No, Percy said. He just said you had big plans, you know. And that you needed credit for completing a keeper's assignment. So did you get it? Grover looked down at the naiads. Mr. D suspended judgment. He said I hadn't failed or succeeded with you too. Yet, so our fates were still tied together. If any of you got a quest and I went along to protect one of you, and we both came back alive, then maybe he'd consider the job complete. Percy's spirits lifted. He said, well, that's not so bad, right? Blah ha ha. He might as well have transferred me to stable cleaning duty. The chances of you getting a quest. And even if you did, why would you want me along? Of course, I'd want you along. Percy said. Grover stared glumly into the water. Basket weaving. Must be nice to have a useful skill. Percy tried to reassure Grover that he had lots of talents, but that just made him look more miserable. If you want to succeed, stop thinking that people's opinion is important. If you believe in yourself, then people will be forced to believe in you, Naruto said. Grover's spirits lifted and he nodded. Then they talked about canoeing and swordplay for a while, then debated the pros and cons of the different gods. Finally, Percy asked Grover about the 4 empty cabins. Number 8, the silver one, belongs to Artemis, Grover said. She vowed to be a maiden forever. So of course, no kids. The cabin is, you know, honorary. If she didn't have one, she'd be mad. Yeah, okay. But the other 3, the ones at the end. Are those the big 3? Percy asked. Grover tensed. No. One of them, number 2, is Hera's, he said. That's another honorary thing. She's the goddess of marriage, so of course she wouldn't go around having affairs with mortals. That's her husband's job. When we say the big 3, we mean the 3 powerful brothers, the sons of Croons, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, Naruto said. Grover nodded, right. You know. After the great battle with the Titans, they took over the world from their dad and drew lots to decide who got what. Zeus got the sky, Naruto said, Poseidon the sea, Hades the underworld. Aha! But Hades doesn't have a cabin here. No. He doesn't have a throne on Olympus, either. He sort of does his own thing down in the underworld. If he did have a cabin here. Grover shuddered. Well, it wouldn't be pleasant. Let's leave it at that. Percy asked, but Zeus and Poseidon, they both had, like, a bazillion kids in the myths. Why are their cabins empty? Grover shifted his hooves uncomfortably and Naruto answered Percy's question. About 60 years ago, after World War II, the big 3 agreed they wouldn't sire any more heroes. Their children were just too powerful. They were affecting the course of human events too much, causing too much carnage. World War II, you know, that was basically a fight between the sons of Zeus and Poseidon on one side, and the sons of Hades on the other. The winning side, Zeus and Poseidon, made Hades swear an oath by them, no more affairs with mortal women. They all swore on the river Styx. Grover surprised. How do you know that? He asked to Naruto. Chiron told me. Percy said, that's the most serious oath you can make. Grover nodded. And the brothers kept their word, no kids? Grover's face darkened. 17 years ago, Zeus fell off the wagon. There was this TV starlet with a big fluffy 80s hairdo, he just couldn't help himself. When their child was born, a little girl named Talia. Well, the river Styx is serious about the promises. Zeus himself got off easy because he's immortal, but he brought a terrible fate on his daughter. But that isn't fair. It wasn't the little girl's fault. Grover hesitated. Percy, children of the Big Three have powers greater than other half-bloods. They have a strong aura, a scent that attracts monsters. When Hades found out about the girl, he wasn't too happy about Zeus breaking his oath. Hades let the worst monsters out of Tartarus to torment Talia. A satyr was assigned to be her keeper when she was 12, but there was nothing he could do. He tried to escort her here with a couple of other half-bloods she'd befriended. They almost made it. They got all the way to the top of that hill. He pointed across the valley, to the pine tree where they fought the Minotaur. All three kindly ones were after them, along with a horde of hellhounds. They were about to be overrun when Talia told her satyr to take the other two half-bloods to safety while she held off the monsters. She was wounded and tired, and she didn't want to live like a hunted animal. The satyr didn't want to leave her, but he couldn't change her mind, and he had to protect the others. So Talia made her final stand alone, at the top of that hill. As she died, Zeus took pity on her. He turned her into that pine tree. Her spirit still helps protect the borders of the valley. That's why the hill is called Half-Blood Hill. Yes, but she is lonely and sad. Looking at Pine Tree Naruto though, Percy stared at the pine in the distance. The story made him feel hollow and guilty. A girl his age had sacrificed herself to save her friends. She had faced a whole army of monsters. Next to that, his fighting with the Minotaur didn't seem like much. Percy wondered, if I'd acted differently, could I have saved my mother? Grover, he said, has heroes really gone on quests to the underworld? Sometimes, Grover said. Orpheus. Hercules. Houdini. And have they ever returned somebody from the dead? No. Never. Orpheus came close. Percy, you're not seriously thinking. No, Percy lied. I was just wondering. So? A satyr is always assigned to guard a demigod? Grover studied Percy warily. Percy hadn't persuaded him that he had really dropped the underworld idea, for now. Not always. We go undercover to a lot of schools. We try to sniff out the half-bloods who have the makings of great heroes. If we find one with a very strong aura, like a child of the Big Three, we alert Chiron. He tries to keep an eye on them, since they could cause really huge problems. And you found me and Naruto, Chiron said you thought we might be something special. Grover looked as if Percy had just led him into a trap. I didn't. Oh, listen, don't think like that. If you were, you'd never ever be allowed a quest, and I'd never get my license. You're probably a child of Hermes. Or maybe even one of the minor gods, like Nemesis, the god of revenge. Don't worry, okay? What about Naruto, Grover? Percy asked. About Naruto, well, Grover noticed Naruto was not with them. Where is he? I thought he was with us. He asked. They looked around. Both of them saw Chiron and Annabeth coming toward them. Well, hello Percy, Grover, Chiron said. Do you know where Naruto is? Few minutes ago, he was with us, Grover said. Can you help us to find him? Chiron said. Why? Percy asked. Naruto has great knowledge of herb and he also knows medical technique. We will need them after capture the flag game, Annabeth said. Grover said in surprised tone, Naruto is also doctor. You can say that, Chiron said. Percy said, well, every day, you can learn more about him. Both of them agreed to find Naruto. They soon found him lakeside. They all had shocked what they were seeing. Percy said, is he standing on top of the water? Grover completed. And he is fighting with himself. Annabeth said. Front of them was two Naruto. Both of them were fighting with each other. Suddenly both Naruto disappeared and appeared on the middle of the lake, throwing punches and kicks at each other at great speed. Then they vanished again. I can't see them. They are moving so fast, Percy said. They appeared again and punched each other's fists, which create a shockwave. Whoa, they are powerful. Grover said. Both Naruto moved from each other and started making some hand sign. They both shouted at the same time. Water release, water dragon bullet technique, Suiton, Suryuden no Jutsu. First Naruto shouted and large amount of water rose from the lake, and it took a shape of giant, powerful dragon. Fire release, fire dragon flame bullet, Ketlin, Karyoenden. Second Naruto shouted. He took a deep breath and exhaled a long stream of incredibly hot fire from the mouth, which took the form of large dragon. Both dragons charged each other and they collided at the same time. Boom! That sent shockwave in the whole lake. Percy, Annabeth, Dover and Chiron looked toward the lake and found they can't see anything because of water vapor. A few minutes later, vapor disappeared. They saw both Naruto were perfectly fine. They don't have any scratch on them. That was... Percy said. Dover said, incredible. Amazing, Annabeth said with stars in her eyes. He has ability to manipulate fire and water both. Chiron thought. Suddenly, both Naruto disappeared and reappeared front of them. They saw both Naruto and noticed second Naruto's eyes. They were red slit with black background. Chiron saw second Naruto. He has an aura of pure evil, he thought. Second Naruto smirked evilly at them, making chills run down their spine. Then he melted into first Naruto's shadow. Who was he? Annabeth asked, with fear in her voice. Suddenly all heard a loud thud. They saw unconscious Grover on the ground. Naruto sweat dropped. He is YamiNaruto. It is my inner darkness in my heart. Inner darkness? Percy asked. It means your dark thought, your desire, your anger etc., Chiron said. Ha! It means your dark half, Annabeth said. Percy nodded, that's why you had tried to kill him. He said to Naruto. Naruto said, you can't kill your darkness. Why? Because it's part of you. You can only accept it. It only way, Percy. He is right, Percy, Chiron said. Darkness is equally part of our life. You can't deny it. So why you all are here? Naruto asked. Annabeth explained him about the medical need after the game. You want my help? Naruto asked. Chiron and Annabeth nodded. Okay. And I think I have already got my first patient. He looked at unconscious Grover. Other sweat dropped at this. That night after dinner, there was a lot more excitement than usual. It was time to capture the flag. When the plates cleared away, the conch horn sounded and all stood at our tables. Campers yelled and cheered as Annabeth and two of her siblings ran into the pavilion carrying a silk banner. It was about 10 feet long, glistening gray, with a painting of a barn owl above an olive tree. From the opposite side of the pavilion, Clarice and her buddies ran in with another banner of same size, but gaudy red, painted with a bloody spear and a boar's head. Percy turned to Luke and yelled because of notice. Those are the flags? Yeah. Ares and Athena always lead the teams? Not always, he said. But often. So, if another cabin captures one, what do you do? Repaint the flag? He grinned. You'll see. First we have to get one. Whose side are we on? He gave me a sly look, as if he knew something I didn't. The scar on his face made him look almost evil in the torchlight. We've made a temporary alliance with Athena. Tonight, we get the flag from Ares. And you are going to help. What about Naruto? He said he doesn't want to play. But after the game, he is providing us medical treatment. I always thought Naruto was a great warrior. But I never thought he is also a doctor. The teams were announced. Athena had made an alliance with Apollo and Hermes, the two biggest cabins. Apparently, privileges had been traded, shower times, chore schedules, the best slots for activities in order to win support. Ares had allied themselves with everybody else, Dionysus, Demeter, Aphrodite, and Hephaestus. Dionysus's kids were actually good athletes, but there were only 2 of them. Demeter's kids had the edge with nature skills and outdoor stuff, but they weren't very aggressive. Aphrodite's sons and daughters they weren't too worried about. They mostly sat out every activity and checked their reflections in the lake and did their hair and gossiped. Hephaestus's kids weren't pretty, and there were only 4 of them, but they were big and burly from working in the metal shop all day. That, of course, left Ares's cabin, a dozen of the big kids. Chiron hammered his hoof on the marble. Heroes. He announced. You know the rules. The creek is the boundary line. The entire forest is fair game. All magic items are allowed. The banner must be prominently displayed, and have no more than 2 guards. Prisoners may be disarmed, but may not be bound or gagged. No killing or maiming is allowed. I will serve as referee and battlefield medic. Arm yourselves. He spread his hands, and the tables were suddenly covered with equipment, helmets, bronze swords, spear, oxide shields coated in metal. Whoa, Percy said. We're really supposed to use these? Luke looked at me as if he were crazy. Unless you want to get skewered by your friends in cabin 5. Here, Chiron thought these would fit. You'll be on border patrol. Percy's shield was the size of an NBA backboard, with a big caduceus in the middle. It weighed about 1,000,000 pounds. I hoped nobody seriously expected me to run fast, Percy thought. His helmet, like all the helmets on Athena's side, had a blue horsehair plume on top. Ares and their allies had red plumes. Annabeth yelled, "Blue team, forward!" All cheered and shook their swords and followed her down the path to the south woods. The red team yelled taunts at them as they headed off toward the north. Percy managed to catch up with Annabeth without tripping over his equipment. Hey! She kept marching. So, what's the plan? He asked. Got any magic items you can loan me? Just watch Clarissa's spear, Annabeth said. You don't want that thing touching you. Otherwise, don't worry. We'll take the banner from Ares. Has Luke given you your job? Border patrol, whatever that means. It's easy. Stand by the creek, keep the Reds away. Leave the rest to me. Athena always has a plan. Annabeth pushed ahead, leaving Percy in the dust. Okay, Percy mumbled. Glad you wanted me on your team. From long distance, Chiron and Mr. D were waiting for something will happen. Mr. D was sitting on a chair, while Chiron was just standing there. Are you waiting for something will happen? Naruto asked. He appeared there with the swirling of the vortex. Welcome Naruto, Chiron greeted him. Yes, I wish something interesting would happen, Mr. D said. Why you are here? I thought you liked the challenge. This children's game, who doesn't know what is war, Naruto said. Mr. D said, I completely agree with you. Then he turned toward Chiron. It's good to know, at least one half-blood has brain. Yes, Mr. D, Chiron said. Naruto asked Mr. D, so why you are sitting here? You are God. You can use your power to see what is happening in game. My restrictions. Oh. Let me help you, Naruto said, as suddenly wooden pole rose from the ground in front of Mr. D. That surprised Mr. D and Chiron. Okay. Last time I checked, I am not your father, Mr. D said. Was Hashirama Senju your son? Mr. D shook his head negatively. Well, I thought he was your son, but he had power to control tree. In the last battle with him, my grandfather had acquired his some power. I had got this power from him. Interesting, but how this wooden pole will help us? This is only 4. Puff of smoke crystal ball appeared in Naruto's hand. This. What is this? It is a tool for telescope technique, Naruto said. He put a crystal on the wooden pole. Today, blue team will win. Why not red? They have a war god cabin with them, Mr. D asked. If you know your enemies and know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles, and the blue team knows their enemy. They have a plan, Naruto said, as Percy's image appeared in the crystal ball. With Percy, it was a warm, sticky night. The woods were dark, with fireflies popping in and out of view. Annabeth stationed Percy next to a little creek that gurgled over some rocks, then she and the rest of the team scattered into the trees. Standing there alone, with big blue feathered helmet and huge shield, Percy felt like an idiot. There was no way anybody would actually attack me, would they? I mean, Olympus had to have liability issues, right? He thought. Percy heard far away, the conch horn blew. Then he heard whoops and yells in the woods, the clanking of metal, kids fighting. A blue-plumed ally from Apollo raced past him like a deer, leaped through the creek, and disappeared into enemy territory. Great, Percy thought. I'll miss all the fun, as usual. Then he heard a sound that sent a chill up his spine, a low canine growl, somewhere close by. Percy raised his shield instinctively, he had the feeling something was stalking him. Then the growling stopped. He felt the presence retreating. Suddenly, 5 Ares warriors came yelling and screaming out of the dark. Cream the punk! Clarisse screamed. Her eyes glared through the slits of her helmet. She brandished a 5-foot-long spear, its barbed metal tip flickering with red light. Her siblings had only the standard-issue bronze swords. They charged across the stream. There was no help in sight. Percy could run. Or he could defend himself against half the Ares cabin. Percy managed to sidestep the first kid's swing. They surrounded him, and Clarice thrusted him with her spear. His shield deflected the point, but he felt a painful tingling all over his body. His hair stood on end. His shield arm went numb, and the air burned. Her spear was electric. He fell back. Another Ares guy slammed him in the chest with the butt of his sword, and he hit the dirt. They started laughing. "Give him a haircut," Clarice said. "Grab his hair." Percy managed to get to his feet. He raised his sword, but Clarice slammed it aside with her spear as sparks flew. Now both his arms felt numb. "Oh, wow," Clarice said. "I'm scared of this guy. Really scared." "The flag is that way," Percy managed to say. "Yeah," one of Clarice's siblings said. "But see, we don't care about the flag. We care about a guy who made our cabin look stupid." "You do that without my help," Percy told them. "With Naruto." Naruto saw Percy opened his big mouth again. "Idiot," Naruto said. "His need to learn to keep his big mouth shut." Mr. D and Chiron nodded. They saw Clarice stuck her spear in Percy's ribs, and one of her cabin mates slashed his sword across his arm, leaving a good size cut. "They are taking this too far," Chiron said, as he saw they pushed Percy into water. "This is going to be interesting," Mr. D said. "Yes," Naruto said. Chiron's sweat dropped when he saw both of them were eating popcorn. "Chiron goes there, this game will end soon," Mr. D said. Chiron nodded and left. Back to Percy. Clarice and her cabin mates came into the creek to get Percy, but he stood to meet them. Somehow, Percy knew what to do. He swung the flat of his sword against the first guy's head and knocked his helmet clean off. He hit him so hard and he crumpled into the water. Number 2 and number 3 came at Percy. He slammed one in the face with his shield and used his sword to shear off the other guy's horsehair plume. Both of them backed up quickly. Number 4 didn't look really anxious to attack, but Clarice kept coming, the point of her spear crackling with energy. As soon as she thrust, Percy caught the shaft between the edge of his shield and his sword, and he snapped it like a twig. "Ah!" Clarice screamed. "You idiot! You corpse breath worm!" She probably would have said worse, but Percy smacked her between the eyes with his sword butt and sent her stumbling backward out of the creek. Then Percy heard yelling, elated screams, and he saw Luke racing toward the boundary line with the red team's banner lifted high. He flanked by a couple of Hermes guys covering his retreat and a few from Apollo behind them, fighting off the Hephaestus kids. The Ares folks got up, and Clarice muttered a dazed curse. "A trick!" she shouted. It was a trick. They staggered after Luke, but it was too late. Everybody converged on the creek as Luke ran across into friendly territory. Other side exploded into cheers. The red banner shimmered and turned to silver. The boar-in spear replaced with a huge caduceus, the symbol of Cabin 11. Everybody on the blue team picked up Luke and started carrying him around on their shoulders. Chiron cantered out from the woods and blew the conch horn. The game was over. We'd won, Percy thought. He was about to join the celebration when Annabeth's voice, right next to him in the creek, said, "Not bad, hero." Percy looked, but she wasn't there. "Where the heck did you learn to fight like that?" she asked. The air shimmered, and she materialized front of him, holding a Yankees baseball cap as if she'd just taken it off her head. Percy realized something. "You set me up," he said angrily. "You put me here because you knew Clarice would come after me, while you sent Luke around the flank. You had it all figured out." Annabeth shrugged. "I told you. Athena always has a plan. A plan to get me pulverized. I came as fast as I could. I was about to jump in, but..." Annabeth said. "You didn't need help." Then she noticed his wounded arm. "How did you do that?" "Sword cut," Percy said. "What do you think?" "No. It was a sword cut. Look at it. The blood was gone. Where the huge cut had been, there was a long white scratch, and even that was fading. As he watched, it turned into a small scar and disappeared. I don't get it," Percy said. Annabeth was thinking hard. She looked down at his feet, then at Clarice's broken spear, and said, "Step out of the water, Percy." "What? Just do it." Percy came out of the creek and immediately felt bone-tired. His arms started to go numb again. He almost fell over, but Annabeth steadied him. "Oh, sticks," Annabeth cursed. "This is not good. I didn't want. I assumed it would be Zeus." Before Percy could ask what she meant, he heard that canine growl again, but much closer than before. A howl ripped through the forest. The campers' cheering died instantly. Annabeth drew her sword. There on the rocks just above them was a black hound the size of a rhino, with lava-red eyes and fangs like daggers. It was looking straight at Percy. Nobody moved except Annabeth, who yelled, "Percy, run!" She tried to step in front of him, but the hound was too fast. It leaped over her, an enormous shadow with teeth, and just as it hit me, as he stumbled backward and felt its razor-sharp claws ripping through his armor. But before hound could do anything, black chain with razor-sharp tip emerged from the ground, and tied it to the ground. Then they started to pull it away from Percy. Then suddenly, with a flock of crows, Naruto raced from the ground like a ghost. He was wearing standard ANBU uniform consisting of black and gray armor, metal arm guards and fingerless gloves, black boots, 3 ninja pouches on his waist. On his back, there was symbol like Juby's red eyes, and he had a black bracelet on his left shoulder, which was given by his great-grandfather. He looked at Annabeth and said, "Annabeth, take Percy with you." Annabeth nodded. She took Percy with her, but she saw black chains which were holding Hound. They were coming out of his right hand. Naruto turned toward Hound and pulled it near him using chains. When he few meters away from him, all chains were holding Hound were vanished. Naruto disappeared with a burst of speed and reappeared front of the Hound. He punched him and sent him skidding near water. His eyes turned in eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. A ball of black flame had formed in Naruto's right hand. "Blaze release, cry of the raven," he shouted and threw it up. It took a shape of a huge black raven and flew upward. With a loud cry, boom, it crashed down on a Hound. All campers shocked. Someone from Aries' cabin shouted, "Whoa! That was awesome." After that, murmuring and whispering started in all campers. "How did? That was incree. He is looking hot." Naruto sweat dropped at the last comment. He saw many of the girls from all different cabins have a predator-like the look on their face, while girls from Aphrodite cabin was blushing madly. "Please, no fangirls, please, no fangirls, please." Naruto started to pray. Annabeth looked toward where Hound was. She saw a Hound wasn't there, but she noticed black flames were still burning there. Most shocking things were they were burning on the surface of the water. "What kind of fire is this?" "It is burning on the surface of water," Annabeth said. "This is the jet-black flames of the Amaterasu. They are as hot as the sun," someone said, from behind her. She turned around and saw it was Mr. D. Amaterasu is said to never stop burning, even when whatever is caught by the Amaterasu is completely reduced to ash or destroyed, it can still continue burning for 7 days and 7 nights. It cannot be extinguished with water or any other normal methods. Luke came over, the banner in his hand forgotten, his moment of glory gone. Chiron came near Mr. D. "D immortals," he said. "That's a hellhound from the fields of punishment. They're not supposed to hear." "Someone summoned it," Mr. D said. "Someone inside the camp." Clarice heard it. She pointed at Percy and yelled, "It's all Percy's faults. Percy summoned it." "Be quiet, child," Chiron told her. Naruto saw black flame on water surface. He has made some hand gesture and all flame disappeared with that. "You're wounded," Annabeth told Percy. "Quick, Percy, gets in the water." "I'm okay." "No, you're not," Annabeth said. "Chiron, watch this." Percy was too tired to argue. He stepped back into the creek, the whole camp gathering around him. Instantly, Percy felt better. All saw cuts on his chest closing up. Some of the campers gasped. "Look, I don't know why," Percy said, trying to apologize. "I'm sorry." He noticed they weren't watching his wounds heal. They were staring at something above his head. "Percy," Annabeth said, pointing. By the time Percy looked up, the sign was already fading, but he could still make out the hologram of green light, spinning and gleaming. "A 3-tipped spear, a trident." "Your father," Annabeth murmured. "This is really not good." "It is determined," Chiron announced. All around him, campers started kneeling, even the Aries cabin and Naruto, though they both didn't look happy about it. My father? Percy asked, completely bewildered. Poseidon, said Chiron. Earthshaker, Stormbringer, father of horses. Hail, Perseus Jackson, son of the sea god. Suddenly a bright light spread in the camp. All looked toward the light direction. They gasped when they saw 3 symbols above Naruto's head. The blood drained from Mr. D and Chiron's face when they saw third symbol. There were 3 symbols above Naruto. First one was largest symbol and it was golden helmet. Second was smaller than first one, but larger than last one. It was 8-sided mirror, and it was behind Tori's symbol. Last one was smallest symbol and it looked like the comprised 8 arrows in a radial pattern. H Hades O of the U underworld, Annabeth said. But what about other 2? Middle symbol is Amaterasu. She is a major deity of the Shinto religion. She is the goddess of the sun, but also of the universe, Chiron said. Naruto was surprised at this. My dad is Hades surprised me, my mother's mother, my grandmother is Amaterasu. It shocked me. Last symbol must be my great-grandfather's. And last one? Clarice asked. I never saw symbol like this. Whose symbol is this, Greek or Shinto? It's Greek symbol, Chiron said. He glanced at the Mr. D direction. This is symbol of chaos, cows, Mr. D said. All campers looked at him in confusion. He is the first immortal, the void from which everything has emerged, the oldest and strongest of the immortals. It is determined, Chiron announced. Naruto Uchiha is the son of Hades, and related to Shinto goddess Amaterasu and chaos, cows. Suddenly all 3 symbols above Naruto's head started to combine and then they formed new symbol. It was the red circular symbol, with 4 concentric circles and 9 commas in them. The symbol was shown only for a few seconds, and then disappeared. No one, but only Chiron saw that symbol. He noticed the same symbol on Naruto's back. Whose symbol is this, he thought. Chapter 10, A Quest. The campers were in shock. They shocked about Percy being the son of Poseidon, but that trampled on by the shock of Naruto's lineage. He was the son of Hades, lord of underworld, and he related to the Amaterasu Shinto goddess. It means he had both Shinto and Greek gods' blood. Then there was Chaos, the primal deity in Greek, and Naruto related to him. It was most shocking thing to them. You are full of surprises, ninja boy, Mr. D said with smirked. Yes, Hades is your father, Chiron said uncomfortably. Do you have any clue how you are related to other 2? Well, Amaterasu, she must be my grandmother and Chaos. Naruto noticed Mr. D and Chiron's nervous faces. He is my great-grandfather. How are you so sure? Chiron asked. He is the one who brought me to this world. He had left me his letter and this. Naruto said and he pointed to bracelet on his left bicep. Both Mr. D and Chiron took a closer look of the bracelet and read a Greek phrase on it. Balance, they thought same time. What it can do? Annabeth asked who saw Naruto's bracelet. Naruto said calmly, no clue. Other sweat dropped. Well, we need to assign to you 2 new cabins, Chiron said. Percy, you will be in your father's cabin, so go get your stuff. Percy just nodded while he and Luke quickly got his stuff. Now Naruto, I am not so sure where to put you. What do you mean? Naruto said. We never had any kids from Hades or from him. This is a camp for Greek gods' children and your grandmother is Shinto goddess, so obviously we don't have her cabin. We see. Suddenly, all campers heard a rumbling sound. It was coming from the empty space between Poseidon's and Zeus's cabins. The ground began to shake, a fissure opened up and a building as black as night, raised from the ground with the screams of the dead. The cabin was totally black and its walls had made of solid obsidian. There was a skull hung over the door. They had torches front of the door, which was burning with green fire. It was 13th cabin, Hades' cabin. Well, now we have Hades' cabin, Mr. D said. Then he turned his head toward campers. Now show is over, so back to your respective cabin. All campers went to their respective cabin. Mr. D also went with them. Only Naruto and Chiron were standing alone there. Anything you want, Chiron? Naruto asked. Chiron said, yes. He pointed toward the red symbol on his back. Whose symbol is this? Jubi's eyes symbol. This is My symbol, Naruto said and turned around and he started walking toward his cabin. Suddenly he stopped and glanced up at the pine tree. It is interesting, isn't it? Now camp has all 3 children of Big 3, he said to Chiron. Chiron said, what? I am talking about me, Percy and Talia. How do you know about her? Did Grover tell you about this? Yes and no. I did know about it from the first day of camp. So, who told you this? Talia herself tells me this. How this possible? Chiron, I am the son of Hades. It was easy for me to see her spirit from inside the tree. Chiron said, then why? He saw Naruto wasn't even there. I'll ask him about it tomorrow, he thought. Wow. Talia said that was so cool. No, that was hot, Naruto corrected her. I particularly burned that hound. Yes, it was hot, Talia said with a smile. Anything else? Yes, now, we know who are our parents. So, are you going to tell me? Yes, Percy is the Poseidon, Naruto said making Talia eyes widen. And me? I am the son of Hades and… What? Talia shouted. Why you are the son of Hades? I know our father doesn't like each other and my father is responsible for your condition. But, it's not what you're probably thinking, Naruto, Talia said. I was just surprised, because you are not acting like Hades' kids. She hugged him. I don't care, you are Hades' kid. You are perfect, which is pretty good to me, she said, with tiny pink on her cheek. Naruto surprised but hugged her back. Thanks, he said. Talia put away from the hug. You wanted to say something before, she said. Yes, Naruto said. I am the son of Hades, but I am also related to the Amaterasu Shinto goddess and chaos. You have both Shinto and Greek god's blood, and chaos, who is primal deity. Naruto nodded. How so? Naruto said, Amaterasu is my grandmother and chaos is my great-grandfather. He told his remaining story to her. Could you show me your Sharingan? Talia asked. Naruto said, sure. Talia saw Naruto's eyes turned red with 3 commas like mark on them. This is Sharingan, he said. Then his eyes changed again. Now, they had 8-pointed star with a strange design in the middle. And this is Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It is an advanced form of the Sharingan. His eyes turned back in his normal dark blue color. They are cool, but I always like your dark blue eyes. They are beautiful. Naruto smiled and said, and you're the prettiest girl I've ever met. Talia smiled back and blushed slightly. I promise you, soon I'll find a way to get you out from here. Really? Talia asked hopefully. Yes, after that would you like to go out with me? Naruto asked. Why you mean a date? Naruto nodded. I would like to go out with you, Talia said, with a new blush on her face. Thanks. Anyway, I should get going, Naruto said. Oh, one more thing, I told Chiron that I can talk to you. So how did he take it? I didn't stop there too long, but he was shocked, Naruto said. Well, anyway I will know his reaction tomorrow. Talia nodded. Okay, goodbye, she said, giving him another hug. She saw he disappeared. Naruto found himself in a dark void. Okay, I am supposed to in the camp, not here. He looked around and noticed there was nothing but darkness. Where am I? He shouted. You are in the void, unknown voice said from behind him. Turning back, he saw it was humanoid figure. He was totally black and had white pupil-less eyes. Who are you? Naruto said and activated his Sharingan. This is a way to talk to your great-grandfather. Why you are, you. Chaos, yes, I am Chaos, your great-grandfather, Chaos said and his form shifted. Naruto saw his great-grandfather, who had now midnight black hair, pale skin and same pupil-less eyes. He looked like his grandfather, Madara. Or my grandfather looked like him, Naruto thought. Now I am not being rude, but why are you here? Naruto asked. Chaos smiled. Naruto, I came here to see you, he said. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Why? Why I was chosen for destroying the Jubi? It is simple, Naruto. The Jubi was progenitor of the ninja world. It would have brought great destruction if Tobi would have succeeded to revive it. It was necessary to destroy it. Then why me? Because Jubi was the harbinger of death and chaos, and you have death and chaos blood in you. Also, you have the blood of both Shinto and Greek's god, Chaos said. And we believed in you for Jubi power. Thanks for believing in me, but not means I like it, Naruto said. I know about your early life's pain and suffering, Chaos said. But it's your chance for a fresh start and I know you are doing it well. You have already got a girlfriend. Taliah is not my girlfriend. Naruto shouted, with blush on his face. I didn't say the Taliah's name, Chaos said with a smirk. Smartass, Naruto muttered. Chaos puts a hand on his head and he glowed for a moment. What was that? He asked. I strengthened your god's blood, Chaos said. So, anything you want to ask? Yes, Naruto said. He pointed toward bracelet on his left shoulder. What it does? You will find about it later, Chaos said. And one more thing you have to know. On your journey you will meet another family member. Naruto nodded goodbye, great-grandson. Goodbye, Naruto said. He found himself beside Taliah tree. The next morning, Percy had a great day. He had his own cabin, which he didn't have to share with anybody. He had plenty of room for all his stuff, the Minotaur's horn, one set of spare clothes, and a toiletry bag, and he got to sit at his own dinner table, pick all his own activities, call lights out whenever he felt like it, and not listen to anybody else. And he was absolutely miserable. Just when Percy had started to feel accepted, to feel he had a home in Cabin 11 and he might be a normal kid or as normal as you can be when you're a half-blood, he had been separated out as if he had some rare disease. Nobody mentioned the Hellhound, but he got the feeling they were all talking about it behind his back. The attack had scared everybody. It sent 3 messages. 1, that he was the son of the sea god. Second, Naruto was the son of Hades, the god of the underworld, and related Shinto sun goddess Amaterasu and primal deity Chaos. And 3, monsters would stop at nothing to kill them. They could even invade a camp that had always been considered safe. The other campers steered clear of them as much as possible. Percy also noticed, some campers were looking toward Naruto with fear and some with great admiration, and some girls were looking toward him with a blush. Cabin 11 was too nervous to have sword class with Percy after what he had done for the Ares folks in the woods, so his lessons with Luke became one-on-one. He pushed him harder than ever, and wasn't afraid to bruise him up in the process. You're going to need all the training you can get, Luke promised, as they were working with swords and flaming torches. Now let's try that viper beheading strike again. 50 more repetitions. Annabeth still taught Percy Greek in the mornings, but she seemed distracted. Every time he said something, she scowled at him, as if he had just poked her between the eyes. After lessons, she would walk away muttering to herself, Quest. Poseidon? Dirty rotten. Got to make a plan. Even Clarice kept her distance, though her venomous looks made it clear she wanted to kill Percy for breaking her magic spear. One night Percy came into his cabin and found a mortal newspaper dropped inside the doorway, a copy of the New York Daily News, open to the Metro page. The article took him almost an hour to read, because the angrier he got, the more the words floated around on the page. Boy and mother still missing after freak car accident, by Eileen Smythe. Sally Jackson and son Percy are still missing 1 week after their mysterious disappearance. The family's badly burned 78 Camaro was discovered last Saturday on a North Long Island road with the roof ripped off and the front axle broken. The car had flipped and skidded for several hundred feet before exploding. Mother and son had gone for a weekend vacation to Montauk, but left hastily, under mysterious circumstances. Small traces of blood were found in the car and near the scene of the wreck, but there were no other signs of the missing Jacksons. Residents in the rural area reported seeing nothing unusual around the time of the accident. Ms. Jackson's husband, Gabe Ugliano, claims that his stepson, Percy Jackson, is a troubled child who has been kicked out of numerous boarding schools and has expressed violent tendencies in the past. Police would not say whether son Percy is a suspect in his mother's disappearance, but they have not ruled out foul play. Below are recent pictures of Sally Jackson and Percy. Police urge anyone with information to call the following toll-free Crime Stoppers hotline. The phone number circled in black marker. Percy wadded up the paper and threw it away, then flopped down on his bunk bed in the middle of his empty cabin. Lights out, Percy, Naruto voice said, from behind him. What the hell, Naruto, don't do that. Percy said. Naruto just smirked. And where have you been all these days? Busy with training and some problem, Naruto said. I was busy to give whole explanation about Taliah to Chiron, Mr. Chiron, Annabeth, Grover and Luke, Naruto said. Well, Mr. D didn't care anything about that. Chiron was happy about it. Grover was bouncing off the trees, much to my annoyance, and Annabeth was very happy, and Luke, he is. Naruto, Naruto, Percy shouted. What is it with you? Why are you so spaced out? Nothing, Naruto said. See you soon. He disappeared with a flock of crows. Weird, Percy said to himself. Later that night, both Naruto and Percy had the same dream. The dream where Poseidon and Zeus were fighting in Greek armor and Hades was cheering them from the sidelines with his ghost cheerleaders. Then suddenly, a voice, which seemed to be from the underground, woke them up. Come down, little heroes, the voice crooned. Come down. The sand split beneath both of them, opening up a crevice straight down to the center of the earth. Percy's feet slipped, and darkness swallowed him. He disappeared. So, Percy wakes up, Naruto thought. He was standing midair. He looked at the darkness under his feet and saw that two evil eyes were looking at him. Who are you? Naruto asked with a cold tone. What is this? No fear. Naruto said, I have no fear from coward like you. He felt killing intent coming from it. An insolent child, I will have to teach you some manners. No thanks, Naruto said. He activated his Sharingan and sent his own killing intent. This is my mind and you are not welcome here. With that image of Black Dragon materialized behind him, who roared loudly and sent shockwave everywhere. Dream World disappeared and Naruto woke up. Naruto heard a Grover voice from his cabin. Naruto! Open the door, I got Percy, we have to get to the big house. He opened the door and saw Grover was scared to his cabin. Why? Naruto asked. Just hurry. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Naruto walked back in and a few minutes later, he was in his usual attire. Let's go. He put a hand on Grover's shoulder and both disappeared. They appeared beside Percy. I felt dizzy, Grover said. Naruto ignored him and looked toward Percy, who was in deep thought. A penny for your thoughts, he said. Ha! Naruto! Percy said. He saw a Naruto clam face. I don't understand how you can be so calm. I mean, we are a couple of kids that should not exist. Simple. I don't care. I should have known, Percy thought. They saw over Long Island Sound, a hazy curtain of rain was coming in their direction. Percy asked, we need an umbrella. No, Grover said. It never rains here unless we want it to. Naruto doesn't say anything. At the volleyball pit, they saw the kids from Apollo's cabin were playing a morning game against the Satyrs. Dionysus's twins were walking around in the strawberry fields, making the plants grow. Everybody was going about their normal business, but they looked tense. They kept their eyes on the storm. Percy, Grover and Naruto walked up to the front porch of the big house. Dionysus sat at the pinnacle table in his tiger-striped Hawaiian shirt with his Diet Coke, and Chiron sat across the table in his fake wheelchair. They were playing against invisible opponents, 2 sets of cards hovering in the air. Well, Mr. D said without looking up. Our little celebrities. Thanks for welcome, Naruto said. Come closer, Mr. D said. And don't expect me to kowtow to you, mortal, just because old Barnacle-Beard is your father. Then he looked toward Naruto. Same to you. A net of lightning flashed across the clouds. Thunder shook the windows of the house. Blah, 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 Dionysus said. Chiron feigned interest in his pinnacle cards. Grover cowered by the railing, his hooves clopping back and forth. If I had my way, Dionysus said, I would cause your molecules to erupt in flames. We'd sweep up the ashes and be done with a lot of trouble. But Chiron seems to feel this would be against my mission of this cursed camp, to keep your little brats safe from harm. Well, I don't need protection, Naruto said. You know what I want? I want to get out of here, and want to battle with monsters. It's so boring here. Mr. D smirked at his answer. Spontaneous combustion is a form of harm, Mr. D, Chiron said. Nonsense, Dionysus said. He looked toward Percy. Boy wouldn't feel a thing. Nevertheless, I've agreed to restrain myself. I'm thinking of turning you into a dolphin instead, sending you back to your father. Mr. D, Chiron warned. Oh, all right, Dionysus relented. There's one more option. But it's deadly foolishness. Dionysus rose, and the invisible player's cards dropped to the table. I'm off to Olympus for the emergency meeting. If the boy Percy is still here when I get back, I'll turn him into an Atlantic bottlenose. Do you understand? And Perseus Jackson, if you're at all smart, you'll see that's a much more sensible choice than what Chiron feels you must do. Dionysus picked up a playing card, twisted it, and it became a plastic rectangle. A security passes. He snapped his fingers. The air seemed to fold and bend around him. He became a hologram, then a wind, and then he was gone, leaving only the smell of fresh-pressed grapes lingering behind. That was good, but mine is better, Naruto thought. Chiron smiled at both of them, but he looked tired and strained. Sit, Percy and Naruto, please. And Grover. They did. Chiron laid his cards on the table. Tell me, boys, he said, what did you make of the hellhound? It scared me, Percy said. Only thanks to Naruto I am not dead yet. Naruto said, it was weak, just like that bull. Others' sweat dropped. Okay, you'll face strong opponent, Naruto, Chiron said. And you Percy, you'll meet worse. Far worse, before you're done. Done. With what? Percy asked. Chiron said, your quest, of course. Will you accept it? Naruto nodded and Percy glanced at Grover, who was crossing his fingers. Sir, Percy said, you haven't told me what it is yet. Chiron grimaced. Well, that's the hard part, the details. Thunder rumbled across the valley. The storm clouds had now reached the edge of the beach. As far as they could see, the sky and the sea were boiling together. Hades, Poseidon and Zeus, Percy said. They're fighting over something valuable. Something that was stolen, aren't they? Chiron and Grover exchanged looks. Chiron sat forward in his wheelchair. How did you know that? Percy looked embarrassed at that for some reason. The weather since Christmas has been weird, like the sea and the sky are fighting. Then I talked to Annabeth, and she'd overheard something about a theft. And I've also been having these dreams. I knew it, Grover said. Hush, Satyr, Chiron ordered. But it is his quest. Grover's eyes were bright with excitement. It must be. Only the Oracle can determine. Chiron stroked his bristly beard. Nevertheless, Percy, you are correct. Your father and Zeus are having their worst quarrel in centuries. They are fighting over something valuable that was stolen. To be precise, a lightning bolt. Of course, Hades is merely egging them on for his own amusement. Percy laughed nervously. A what? Do not take this lightly, Chiron warned. I'm not talking about some tinfoil-covered zigzag you'd see in a second-grade play. I'm talking about a 2-foot-long cylinder of high-grade celestial bronze, capped on both ends with the god-level explosives. Oh, Zeus's master bolt, Chiron said, getting worked up now. The symbol of his power, from which all other lightning bolts are patterned. The first weapon made by the Cyclopes for the war against the Titans, the bolt that sheared the top of Mount Etna and hurled Kronos from his throne, the master bolt, which packs enough power to make mortal hydrogen bombs look like firecrackers. And it's missing? Stolen, Chiron said. By who? By whom? Chiron corrected. Once a teacher, always a teacher. By you too. Percy's mouth fell open, while Naruto raised his ear bow. At least Chiron held up a hand, that's what Zeus thinks. During the winter solstice, at the last council of the gods, Zeus and Poseidon had an argument. The usual nonsense, Mother Rhea always liked you best, air disasters are more spectacular than sea disasters, etc. Afterward, Zeus realized his master bolt was missing, taken from the throne room under his very nose. He immediately blamed Poseidon. Now, a god cannot usurp another god's symbol of power directly, that is forbidden by the most ancient of divine laws. But Zeus believes your father convinced a human hero to take it. But we didn't. Patience and listen, child, Chiron said. Zeus has good reason to be suspicious. The forges of the Cyclopes are under the ocean, which gives Poseidon some influence over the makers of his brother's lightning. Zeus believes Poseidon has taken the master bolt, and is now secretly having the Cyclopes build an arsenal of illegal copies, which might be used to topple Zeus from his throne. The only thing Zeus wasn't sure about was which hero Poseidon used to steal the bolt. Now Poseidon has openly claimed you as his son. You were in New York over the winter holidays. You could easily have snuck into Olympus. Zeus believes he has found his thief. Then why me? Naruto asked. You are the son of Hades. He and Zeus don't like to each other. Zeus thinks that Hades is conspiring with Poseidon to get a copy or the real thing, as he wants to take Zeus's rule away, Chiron said. Whatever, I don't care, Naruto said calmly. Percy said, but I've never even been to Olympus. Zeus is crazy. Chiron and Grover glanced nervously at the sky. The clouds didn't seem to be parting around them, as Grover had promised. They were rolling straight over our valley, sealing them in like a coffin lid. Air, Percy. Grover said. We don't use the C word to describe the Lord of the Sky. Perhaps paranoid, Chiron suggested. Then again, Poseidon has tried to unseat Zeus before, same with Hades. I believe that was question 38 on your final exam. He looked at Percy as if he actually expected him to remember question 38. How could anyone accuse me of stealing a god's weapon? I couldn't even steal a slice of pizza from Gabe's poker party without getting busted, Percy thought. He saw Chiron was waiting for an answer. Something about a golden net? He guessed. Poseidon and Hera and a few other gods. They, trapped Zeus and wouldn't let him out until he promised to be a better ruler, right? Correct, Chiron said. And Zeus has never trusted Poseidon and Hades. Poseidon denies stealing the Master Bolt. He took great offense at the accusation. The two have been arguing back and forth for months, threatening war. Hades just said he didn't, not feeling like starting a war for he already has too much work. And now, you two have come along, the proverbial last straw. Percy, Grover cut in, if you were Zeus, and you already thought your brothers was plotting to overthrow you, then your brothers suddenly admitted that they had broken the sacred oath he took after World War II, that they have fathered a couple of new mortal heroes who might be used as a weapon against you. Wouldn't that put a twist in your toga? But I didn't do anything. Poseidon, my dad, he didn't really have this Master Bolt stolen, did he? Chiron sighed. Most thinking observers would agree that thievery is not Poseidon's or Hades' style. But the sea god is too proud to try convincing Zeus of that, and Hades has just become too lazy. Zeus has demanded that they return the bolt by the summer solstice. That's June 21st, 10 days from now. Poseidon wants an apology for being called a thief by the same date, and Hades doesn't care either way, just that this matter be solved before he is overloaded. I hope that diplomacy might prevail, that Hera or Demeter or Hestia would make the three brothers see sense. But your arrival has inflamed Zeus's temper. Now neither god will back down. Unless someone intervenes, unless the Master Bolt is found and returned to Zeus before the solstice, there will be war. And do you know what a full-fledged war would look like, Percy? Bad? Percy guessed. Imagine the world in chaos. Nature at war with itself. Olympians forced to choose sides between Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Destruction. Carnage. Millions of dead. Western civilization turned into a battleground so big it will make the Trojan War look like a water balloon fight. Bad, Percy repeated. And you too, Percy Jackson and Naruto Uchiha would be the first two to feel the Zeus's wrath. It started to rain. Volleyball players stopped their game and stared in stunned silence at the sky. Percy had a dumbstruck look on his face and Naruto showed no emotion. I am waiting for it. Naruto thought. So, I have to find the stupid bolt, Percy said. And return it to Zeus. What better peace offering, Chiron said, than to have the son of Poseidon and the son of Hades return Zeus's property? If Poseidon doesn't have it, where is the thing? Percy asked. I believe I know. Chiron's expression was grim. Part of a prophecy I had years ago. Well, some of the lines make sense to me now. But before I can say more, you must officially take up the quest. You must seek the counsel of the oracle. Why can't you tell me where the bolt is beforehand? Because if I did, then you would be too afraid to accept the challenge. Percy swallowed. Good reason. You two agree then? Chiron said. Percy looked at Grover, who nodded encouragingly. Easy for him. Zeus doesn't want to kill, Percy thought. All right, he said. It's better than being turned into a dolphin. All of them looked toward Naruto. I had already said yes, Naruto said. Then it's time you two consulted the oracle, Chiron said. Go upstairs to the attic. When you come back down, assuming you two is still sane, we will talk more. Naruto and Percy went up 4 floors that ended under a green trapdoor. Percy pulled the cord. The door swung down, and a wooden ladder clattered into place. The warm air from above smelled like mildew and rotten wood and something else. A smell they remembered from biology class. Reptiles, the smell of snakes. Both of them held their breath and climbed. The attic was filled with Greek hero junk, armor stands covered in cobwebs, once bright shields pitted with rust, old leather steamer trunks plastered with stickers saying Ithaca, Circe's Isle, and Land of the Amazons. One long table was stacked with glass jars filled with pickled things, severed hairy claws, huge yellow eyes, and various other parts of monsters. A dusty mounted trophy on the wall looked like a giant snake's head, but with horns and a full set of shark's teeth. The plaque reads, Hydra Head No. 1, Woodstock, New York, 1969. By the window, sitting on a wooden tripod stool, was the most gruesome memento of all, a mummy. Not the wrapped-in cloth kind, but a human female body shriveled to a husk. She wore a tie-dyed sundress, lots of beaded necklaces, and a headband over long black hair. The skin of her face was thin and leathery over her skull, and her eyes were glassy white slits, as if the real eyes had been replaced by marbles. She'd been dead a long, long time. She sat up on her stool and opened her mouth. A green mist poured from the mummy's mouth, coiling over the floor in thick tendrils, hissing like 20,000 snakes. Percy stumbled over himself trying to get to the trapdoor, but it slammed shut. Then they heard a voice in their heads. I am the spirit of Delphi, speaker of the prophecies of Phoebus Apollo, slayer of the mighty Python. Approach, seeker, and ask. I wanted to say, no thanks, wrong door, just looking for the bathroom. Naruto saw this was freaking out Percy. Calm down, Percy. Take a breath. We will say same time, he said. Percy nodded. What is my destiny? They asked at the same time. The mist swirled more thickly, collecting right in front of me and around the table with the pickled monster part jars. Suddenly there were 4 men sitting around the table, playing cards. Their faces became clearer. It was Smelly Gabe and his buddies, along with Kakashi. This is just an illusion, Naruto thought. Gabe turned to Percy and spoke in the rasping voice of the oracle, you shall go west, and face the god who has turned. Kakashi said in the same voice, great-grandson of chaos will show his true face. Gabe's buddy on the right looked up and said in the same voice, you shall find what was stolen, and see it safely returned. The guy on the left threw in 2 poker chips, then said, you shall be betrayed by one who calls you a friend. Finally, Eddie delivered the worst line of all, and you shall fail to save what matters most, in the end. Percy was too stunned to say anything, but as the mist retreated, coiling into a huge green serpent and slithering back into the mouth of the mummy, he cried, wait. What do you mean? What friend? What will I fail to save? The tail of the mist snake disappeared into the mummy's mouth. She reclined back against the wall. Her mouth closed tight, as if it hadn't been open in 100 years. The attic was silent again, abandoned, nothing but a room full of mementos. Let's get out of here, Naruto said. Well? Chiron asked. They slumped into a chair at the pinnacle table. She said I would retrieve what was stolen, Percy said. Grover sat forward, chewing excitedly on the remains of a Diet Coke can. That's great. What did the oracle say exactly? Chiron pressed. This is important. Percy said, she said I would go west and face a god who had turned. I would retrieve what was stolen and see it safely returned. I knew it, Grover said. Chiron didn't look satisfied. Anything else? Percy didn't want to tell him. No, he said. That's about it. Chiron turned toward Naruto and asked, and you Naruto? Great-grandson of the chaos will show his true face, Naruto said. Chiron said, HM. Very well, Percy and Naruto. But know this, the oracle's words often have double meanings. Don't dwell on them too much. The truth is not always clear until events come to pass. Percy got the feeling Chiron knew he was holding back something bad, and he was trying to make him feel better. Okay, he said, anxious to change topics. So where do I go? Who's this god in the west? Think Percy, Chiron said. If Zeus and Poseidon weaken each other in a war, who stands to gain? Somebody else who wants to take over? Percy guessed. Yes, quite. Someone who has been unhappy with his lot since the world was divided eons ago, whose kingdom would grow powerful with the deaths of millions. Someone who hates his brothers for forcing him into an oath to have no more children, an oath that both of them have now broken. My father, Hades, Naruto answered his question. Chiron nodded. The Lord of the Dead is the only possibility. A scrap of aluminum dribbled out of Grover's mouth. Whoa, wait. What? Percy also surprised. Why you don't want to defend your father? He asked to Naruto. Percy, a few days ago, I don't even know his name. So why should I defend him, who was unknown to me, in my whole life, Naruto said. Others surprised at his answer. Do you hate your father, Naruto? Chiron asked. No, Naruto said. Just I want to know about him more. Chiron nodded. A fury came after Percy, Chiron said. She watched the young man until she was sure of his identity, then tried to kill him. Furies obey only one lord, Hades. Yes, but Hades hates all heroes, Grover protested. Especially if he has found out Percy is a son of Poseidon. He doesn't have a problem with Naruto, because he is his son. A hellhound got into the forest, Chiron continued. Those can only be summoned from the fields of punishment, and it had to be summoned by someone within the camp. Hades must have a SP, Chiron, Naruto said. You have forgotten one major point. What do you mean? Naruto said. Zeus also blames Hades for stealing his bolt. So, if war happens, it is also possible that Hades will join in Zeus and Poseidon fight. Chiron nodded and asked, if it's not Hades, then who he is? You already know my answer. The person who is more evil and darker than my father. Chiron shocked. Why you mean him? He asked. Yes. What you're talking about? Percy asked. It's better for you don't know anything about this, Chiron said. For now, you and Naruto must go to the underworld, find the Master Bolt, and reveal the truth. This was suicide, Percy thought. Look, if we know it's Hades, he told Chiron, why can't we just tell the other gods? Zeus or Poseidon could go down to the underworld and bust some heads. Suspecting and knowing are not the same, Chiron said. Besides, even if the other gods suspect Hades, and I imagine Poseidon does, they couldn't retrieve the bolt themselves. Gods cannot cross each other's territory except by invitation. That is another ancient rule. Heroes, on the other hand, have certain privileges. They can go anywhere, challenge anyone, as long as they're bold enough and strong enough to do it. No god can be held responsible for a hero's actions. Why do you think the gods always operate through humans? You're saying I'm being used. I'm saying it's no accident Poseidon has claimed you now. It's a very risky gamble, but he's in a desperate situation. He needs you. My dad needs me, Percy thought. He didn't know whether to feel resentful or grateful or happy or angry. Poseidon had ignored him for 12 years. Now suddenly he needed him. You've known I was Poseidon's son all along, haven't you? Percy asked. And for Naruto as well, being the son of Hades and all. I had my suspicions. As I said. I've spoken to the oracle, too. So let me get this straight, Percy said. I'm supposed to go to the underworld and confront the Lord of the Dead. Check, Chiron said. Find the most powerful weapon in the universe. Check. And get it back to Olympus before the summer solstice, in 10 days. That's about right. Percy looked at Grover, who gulped down the ace of hearts. Did I mention that Maine is very nice this time of year? Grover asked weakly. You don't have to go, Percy told him. I can't ask that of you. Oh. Grover shifted his hooves. No. It's just that satyrs and underground places. Well. He took a deep breath, and then stood, brushing the shredded cards and aluminum bits off his t-shirt. You and Naruto saved my life. If you two are serious about wanting me alone, I won't let you two down. Percy felt so relieved he wanted to cry, though, that is very heroic. All the way, G-Man. Percy turned to Chiron. So where do we go? The oracle just said to go west. The entrance to the underworld is always in the west. It moves from age to age, just like Olympus. Right now, of course, it's in America. Where? Chiron looked surprised. I thought that would be obvious enough. The entrance to the underworld is in Los Angeles. Oh, Percy said. Naturally, so we just get on a plane. No! Grover shrieked. Percy, what are you thinking? Have you ever been on a plane in your life? Percy shook his head in the negative. Percy, think, Chiron said. You are the son of the sea god. Your father's bitterest rival is Zeus, lord of the sky. Your mother knew better than to trust you on an airplane. You would be in Zeus's domain. You would never come down again alive. Then what about me? Naruto asked. To be honest, I am not sure, Chiron said thoughtfully. Overhead, lightning crackled. Thunder boomed. Okay, Percy said, determined not to look at the storm. So, I'll travel overland. That's right, Chiron said. 2 companions may accompany you too. Grover is one. The other has already volunteered, if you will accept her help. Gee, Percy said, feigning surprise. Who else would be stupid enough to volunteer for a quest like this? Last champion is Annabeth, Naruto said. Am I right, Chiron? He looked behind Chiron. The air shimmered behind Chiron. Annabeth became visible, stuffing her Yankees cap into her back pocket. I've waited a long time for a quest, Seaweed Brain, she said. Athena is no fan of Poseidon, but if you're going to save the world, I'm the best person to keep you from messing up. Besides, we have Naruto here to protect us. She then turned to Naruto and said, Can you see me even if I am invisible? Yes, Naruto said. There is nothing you can hide from my eyes. I can see you clearly. If you do say so yourself, Percy said to Annabeth. I suppose you have a plan, wise girl? Annabeth's cheeks colored. Do you want my help or not? The truth was I did. I needed all the help I could get, Percy thought. That'll work, he said. Excellent, Chiron said. This afternoon, we can take you as far as the bus terminal in Manhattan. After that, you are on your own. Lightning flashed. Rain poured down on the meadows that were never supposed to have violent weather. No time to waste, Chiron said. I think you should all get packing. See you soon there, Naruto said. His eyes turned red and he slowly sank into the ground. All other looked at the place where Naruto had disappeared. They all were still in shock. What was that? Annabeth asked. I don't know, Percy answered her. Chapter 11, Highway to Hell. So, let me get it straight. Talia said. You, Annabeth, Grover and Poseidon's son Percy are going a quest to my father's lightning bolt. Naruto nodded. Where? She asked. To Underworld, Naruto said. He saw her sad face. But don't worry, you can talk to me anytime by your necklace. This quest is looking dangerous, so take care of yourself, Naruto, Talia said. Also, take care of Annabeth and go over to me. Naruto nodded and said, I promise you. He gave her a hug. Well, I better get going. I will see you later, Talia. Naruto, Talia said to him as he looked up in time to see Talia connect her lips to his as she kissed him. Naruto surprised by her action, but he decided to return the kiss. Talia wrapped her arms around Naruto's neck. Naruto wrapped his arms around Talia's waist and brought their bodies together. Talia was in bliss as she continued kissing Naruto and enjoyed the taste of his lips. Naruto was also enjoying this. Eventually they both separated as they came up for air, and when they did, they both had their faces flushed red. Naruto was the first to speak. Wow. Talia's face was red. Good luck, Naruto, she said. Don't forget our date. And come back alive. Naruto nodded and disappeared from limbo. Naruto appeared outside the tree. Well, that was new, he said as small blush was visible on his face. He disappeared again. Percy decided to leave the Minotaur horn in his cabin, which left him only an extra change of clothes and a toothbrush to stuff in a backpack Grover had found for him. The camp store loaned him $100 in mortal money and 20 golden drachmas. These coins were as big as Girl Scout cookies and had images of various Greek gods stamped on one side and the Empire State Building on the other. Chiron said the coins might come in handy for non-mortal transaction. He gave both Annabeth and Percy each a canteen of nectar and a Ziploc bag full of ambrosia squares, to be used only in emergencies, if they were seriously hurt. It was a god food, Percy, Chiron said. It would cure you of almost any injury, but it was lethal to mortals. Too much of it would make a half-blood very, very feverish. An overdose would burn you up, literally. Well, Naruto is also there to help you. Annabeth was bringing her magic Yankees cap, which she told Percy had been a 12th birthday present from her mom. She carried a book on famous classical architecture, written in ancient Greek, to read when she got bored, and a long bronze knife, hidden in her shirt sleeve. Grover wore his fake feet and his pants to pass as human. He wore a green Rasta-style cap, because when it rained his curly hair flattened and you could just see the tips of his horns. His bright orange backpack was full of scrap metal and apples to snack on. In his pocket was a set of reed pipes his daddy goat had carved for him, even though he only knew 2 songs, Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 12 and Hilary Duff's So Yesterday, both of which sounded pretty bad on reed pipes. They waved goodbye to the other campers, took one last look at the strawberry fields, the ocean, and the big house, then hiked up Half-Blood Hill to the tall pine tree. Chiron was waiting for them in his wheelchair. Next to him stood a guy Percy had seen when he was recovering in the sick room. He was wearing a chauffeur's uniform, so Percy could only see extra peepers on his hands, face, and neck. "Where is Naruto?" Chiron asked. "We thought he was here with you," Percy said. "I am here," Naruto said as he rose from the ground. He was wearing a gray shirt, black pants, black shoes, and a black jacket with hood. They saw a black raven was standing on his left shoulder. "How you do that?" Annabeth asked. "That's my secret," Naruto said. "Naruto, there is a raven on your left shoulder," Percy said. "I know, Percy," Naruto said. He turned to everyone. "Guys, meet Karasu-chan, my partner, and she are our 5th member." "Hello," Karasu said in famine voice. "Did that bird just talk in my head?" Grover said. "Yes, I can talk." "Where did you get her, Naruto?" Percy asked. "She is the last thing my mother left to me." "Karasu-chan is part of her own soul," Naruto said sadly. "Hello Karasu, welcome to team," Annabeth said. "Thanks," Karasu said. "Chiron," Naruto said. He gave Chiron a black feather. "If you want to contact us, use this. This is Karasu-chan feather. Throw it and she will be there." "Thanks, Naruto," Chiron said. "This is Argus. He will drive you into the city, and, well, keep an eye on things." They heard footsteps behind them. They saw Luke came running up the hill, carrying basketball shoes. "Hey!" Luke said. "Glad I caught you." Annabeth blushed, the way she always did when Luke was around. "Just wanted to say good luck," he said to Percy. "And I thought, maybe you could use these." He handed Percy the sneakers, which looked pretty normal. Luke said, "Maya." White bird's wings sprouted out of the heels, startling Percy so much, he dropped them. The shoes flapped around on the ground until the wings folded up and disappeared. "Awesome," Grover said. Luke smiled. "Those served me well when I was on my quest. Gift from Dad. Of course, I don't use them much these days," he said with a sad expression. Percy didn't know what to say. "Hey, man," he said. "Thanks. Listen, Percy and Naruto." Luke looked uncomfortable. "A lot of hopes are riding on both of you, so just kill some monsters for me, okay? Don't worry with Percy's luck, we might just run into a few," Naruto said calmly. "Hey!" Percy shouted. Naruto just ignored him and walked away. "Don't waste more time, here," he said and disappeared. Percy and Luke shook hands. Luke patted the Grover's head between his horns, and then gave a goodbye hug to Annabeth, who looked like she might pass out. After Luke was gone, Percy said to her, "You're hyperventilating." "I'm not. You let him capture the flag instead of you, didn't you?" "Oh. Why do I want to go anywhere with you, Percy?" Annabeth stomped down the other side of the hill, where a white SUV waited on the shoulder of the road. Naruto and Argus were already there. Percy picked up the flying shoes and he had a sudden bad feeling. He looked at Chiron. "I won't be able to use these, will I?" Chiron shook his head. "Luke meant well, Percy. But taking to the air, that would not be wise for you." Percy nodded, disappointed, but then he got an idea. "Hey, Grover. You want a magic item?" Grover's eyes lit up. "Me?" Pretty laced the sneakers over his fake feet. "Maya!" he shouted. He got off the ground okay, but then fell over sideways so his backpack dragged through the grass. The winged shoes kept bucking up and down like tiny broncos. "Practice," Chiron called after him. "You just need practice. Grover went flying sideways down the hill like a possessed lawnmower, heading toward the van. Before Percy could follow, Chiron caught his arm. I should have trained you better, Percy. I know Naruto doesn't need training, but you, he said. If only I had more time. Hercules, Jason, they all got more training. That's okay. I just wish, Percy said, but stopped himself, not wanting to sound selfish and not getting a magical item to help him on his quest. What am I thinking? Chiron cried. I can't let you get away without this. He pulled a pen from his coat pocket and handed it to Percy. It was an ordinary disposable ballpoint, black ink, removable cap. Probably cost 30 cents. Gee, Percy said. Thanks, Percy, that's a gift from your father. I've kept it for years, not knowing you were who I was waiting for. But the prophecy is clear to me now. You are the one. Percy remembered the field trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Chiron had thrown him a pen that turned into a sword. He took off the cap, and the pen grew longer and heavier in his hand. In half a second, he held a shimmering bronze sword with a double-edged blade, a leather-wrapped grip, and a flat hilt riveted with gold studs. It was the first weapon that actually felt balanced in his hand. The sword has a long and tragic history that we need not go into, Chiron told me. Its name is Anaklusmos. Riptide, Percy translated, surprised the ancient Greek came so easily. Use it only for emergencies, Chiron said, and only against monsters. No hero should harm mortals unless absolutely necessary, of course, but this sword wouldn't harm them in any case. Percy looked at the wickedly sharp blade. What do you mean it wouldn't harm mortals? How could it not? The sword is celestial bronze. Forged by the Cyclopes, tempered in the heart of Mount Etna, cooled in the river Lethe. It's deadly to monsters, to any creature from the underworld, provided they don't kill you first. But the blade will pass through mortals like an illusion. They simply are not important enough for the blade to kill. And I should warn you, as a demigod, you can be killed by either celestial or normal weapons. You are twice as vulnerable. Good to know. Now recap the pen. Percy touched the pen cap to the sword tip and instantly Riptide shrank to a ballpoint pen again. He tucked it in his pocket, a little nervous, because he was famous for losing pens at school. You can't, Chiron said. Can't what? Percy asked. Lose the pen, Chiron said. It is enchanted. It will always reappear in your pocket. Try it. Percy was wary, but he threw the pen as far as he could down the hill and watched it disappear in the grass. It may take a few moments, Chiron said. Now check your pocket. Percy noticed pen was there. Okay, that's extremely cool, Percy admitted. But what if a mortal sees me pulling out a sword? Chiron smiled. Mist is a powerful thing, Percy. Mist? Yes. Read the Iliad. It's full of references to the stuff. Whenever divine or monstrous elements mix with the mortal world, they generate mist, which obscures the vision of humans. You will see things just as they are, being a half-blood, but humans will interpret things quite differently. Remarkable, really, the lengths to which humans will go to fit things into their version of reality. Percy placed Riptide back in his pocket. Chiron. Percy said. When you say the gods are immortal. I mean, there was a time before them, right? For ages before them, actually. The time of the Titans was the Fourth Age, sometimes called the Golden Age, which is definitely a misnomer. This, the time of Western civilization and the rule of Zeus, is the Fifth Age. So, what was it like? Before the gods? Chiron pursed his lips. Even I am not old enough to remember that, child, but I know it was a time of darkness and savagery for mortals. Kronos, the lord of the Titans, called his reign the Golden Age because men lived innocent and free of all knowledge. But that was mere propaganda. The Titan King cared nothing for your kind except as appetizers or a source of cheap entertainment. It was only in the early reign of Lord Zeus, when Prometheus the good Titan brought fire to humanity, that your species began to progress, and even then, Prometheus was branded a radical thinker. Zeus punished him severely, as you may recall. Of course, eventually the gods warmed to humans, and Western civilization was born. But the gods can't die now, right? I mean, as long as Western civilization is alive, they're alive. So, even if we failed, nothing could happen so bad it would mess up everything, right? Chiron gave him a melancholy smile. No one knows how long the age of the West will last, Percy. The gods are immortal, yes. But then, so were the Titans. They still exist, locked away in their various prisons, forced to endure endless pain and punishment, reduced in power, but still very much alive. May the fates forbid that the gods should ever suffer such a doom, or that we should ever return to the darkness and chaos of the past. All we can do, child, is follow our destiny. I don't believe in destiny, nor I believe in prophecy, Naruto said. Nothing is set in stone, Chiron. Percy and Chiron surprised at this. Percy, don't waste more time here. Let's go, he said. Percy nodded dumbly. When they joined the others in the car, they saw under the pine tree, Chiron was now standing in full horseman form, holding his bow high in salute. So, you have a new weapon, Naruto said. Yes, it is called Riptide, Percy said. Naruto, you also have weapons. What are their names? Percy asked. Hornet. I called my gauntlet, Hornet, Naruto said. With black flash, a black katana appeared in his hand. And this is a Shurheim, Death Princess. Argus drove them out of the countryside and into western Long Island. Percy felt weird to be on a highway again. Annabeth and Grover sitting next to him, and Naruto was sitting on the front seat, as if they were normal carpoolers. After 2 weeks at Half-Blood Hill, the real world seemed like a fantasy. Naruto noticed Percy was staring at every McDonald's, every kid in the back of his parents' car, every billboard and shopping mall. So far so good, Percy said. 10 miles and not a single monster. Annabeth gave him an irritated look. It's bad luck to talk that way, seaweed brain. Remind me again, why do you hate me so much? I don't hate you. Could have fooled me. Annabeth folded her cap of invisibility. Look. We're just not supposed to get along, okay? Our parents are rivals. Why? She sighed. How many reasons do you want? One time my mom caught Poseidon with his girlfriend in Athena's temple, which is hugely disrespectful. Another time, Athena and Poseidon competed to be the patron god for the city of Athens. Your dad created some stupid saltwater spring for his gift. My mom created the olive tree. The people saw that her gift was better, so they named the city after her. They must really like olives. Oh, forget it. Now, if she'd invented pizza that I could understand. I said, forget it. In that case, I and Talia would have hated each other, because of our parents, Naruto said. You know Talia, daughter of Zeus, since when? Percy asked. Naruto looked Grover and Annabeth. I thought you two have told him, he said. Told me, what? Percy asked. I can talk to Talia. How? Percy, I am the son of Hades. I can see her spirit, Naruto said. So, how she looks like? Percy said. She's the prettiest girl I've ever met, Naruto said. Percy and Grover froze. Annabeth saw this and asked, what happened with you two? Grover whispered lightly in her ear. Naruto was famous in all girls in school, but he hadn't liked any of them. He just ignored them. It is the first time we heard him talk about any girl, Percy whispered. You know I could hear both of you from here, Naruto said cold tone. Both Percy and Grover paled. Traffic slowed them down in Queens. By the time they got into Manhattan it was sunset and starting to rain. Argus dropped them at the Greyhound station on the Upper East Side, not far from Percy's mom and Gabe's apartment. Percy saw typed to a mailbox was a soggy flyer with his picture on it. Have you seen this boy? He ripped it down before Annabeth and Grover could notice, but Naruto already saw it. Argus unloaded their bags, made sure they got bus tickets, and then drove away, the eye on the back of his hand opening to watch them as he pulled out of the parking lot. Naruto noticed that Percy was looking off into the distance, probably thinking about his home. Grover shouldered Percy's backpack. You want to know why she married him, Percy? He said. Percy stared at him. Were you reading my mind or something? Just your emotions. Grover shrugged. Guess I forgot to tell you satyrs can do that. You were thinking about your mom and your stepdad, right? Percy nodded, wondering what else Grover might have forgotten to tell him. Your mom married Gabe for you, Grover told me. You call him smelly, but you've got no idea. The guy has this aura, yuck. I can smell him from here. I can smell traces of him on you, and you haven't been near him for a week. Thanks, Percy said. Where's the nearest shower? You should be grateful, Percy. Your stepfather smells so repulsively human he could mask the presence of any demigod. As soon as I took a whiff inside his Camaro, I knew, Gabe has been covering your scent for years. If you hadn't lived with him every summer, you probably would have been found by monsters a long time ago. Your mom stayed with him to protect you. She was a smart lady. She must have loved you a lot to put up with that guy, if that makes you feel any better. It didn't, but Percy forced himself not to show it. I'll see her again, he thought. She isn't gone. Percy stared a little more into the distance until they had to move on. The rain kept coming down. Percy, Annabeth and Grover got restless waiting for the bus and decided to play some hacky sack with one of Grover's apples. Annabeth was unbelievable. She could bounce the apple off her knee, her elbow, and her shoulder, whatever. Percy wasn't too bad either. From sideline, Naruto was reading a book. He saw their game. Good game, 4 kids, he thought. The game ended when Percy tossed the apple toward Grover and it got too close to his mouth. In one mega goat bite, their hacky sack disappeared, core, stem, and all. Grover blushed. He tried to apologize, but Annabeth and Percy were too busy cracking up. Finally, the bus came. As they stood in line to board, Grover started looking around, sniffing the air like he smelled his favorite school cafeteria delicacy, enchiladas. What is it? Percy asked. I don't know, Grover said tensely. Maybe it's nothing. Something isn't right here, Naruto thought. Percy could tell it wasn't anything. He was relieved when they finally got on board and found seats together in the back of the bus. They stowed their backpacks. Annabeth kept slapping her Yankees cap nervously against her thigh. As the last passengers got on, Annabeth clamped her hand onto Percy's knee. Percy. An old lady had just boarded the bus. She wore a crumpled velvet dress, lace gloves, and a shapeless orange knit hat that shadowed her face, and she carried a big paisley purse. When she tilted her head up, her black eyes glittered. Mrs. Dodds, Percy thought. She was older, more withered, but definitely the same evil face. Percy scrunched down in his seat. Behind her came 2 older ladies, one in a green hat, one in a purple hat. Otherwise, they looked exactly like Mrs. Dodds, same gnarled hands, paisley handbags, wrinkled velvet dresses. Triplet demon grandmothers. They sat in the front row, right behind the driver. The 2 on the aisle crossed their legs over the walkway, making an X. It was casual enough, but it sent a clear message: nobody leaves. The bus pulled out of the station, and they headed through the slick streets of Manhattan. She didn't stay dead long, Percy said. He was trying to keep his voice from quivering. I thought you said they could be dispelled for a lifetime. I said if you're lucky, Annabeth said. You're obviously not. Naruto said, Percy, these are the right hand my father, they probably don't stay down for long. Besides, she feels more powerful than at the museum. All 3 of them, Grover whimpered. The immortals. It's okay, Annabeth said, obviously thinking hard. The Furies. The 3 worst monsters from the underworld. No problem. No problem. We'll just slip out the windows. They don't open, Grover moaned. A back exit? She suggested. There wasn't one, Naruto said. They won't attack us with witnesses around, Percy said. Will they? Mortals don't have good eyes, Annabeth said. Their brains can only process what they see through the mist. They'll see 3 old ladies killing us, won't they? Annabeth thought about it. Hard to say. But we can't count on mortals for help. Maybe an emergency exit in the roof. Quiet all of you, Naruto said. I will handle them. They reached Lincoln Tunnel, and the bus went dark except for the running lights down the aisle. It was eerily quiet without the sound of the rain. Mrs. Dodds got up. In a flat voice, as if she'd rehearsed it, she announced to the whole bus, I need to use the restroom. So do I, said the second sister. So do I, said the third sister. They all started coming down the aisle. I've got it, Annabeth said. Percy, take my hat. What? You're the one they want. Turn invisible and goes up the aisle. Let them pass you. Maybe you can get to the front and get away. But you guys, there's an outside chance they might not notice us, Annabeth said. You're a son of the big 3. Your smell might be overpowering. But Naruto is also son of big 3, Percy said. Yes, but he is a son of Hades, their master, Grover said. And I can handle myself, Naruto said. I can't just leave you, Percy said. Percy, Naruto said, in a cold tone. Go. Percy's hands trembled. He felt like a coward, but he took the Yankees cap and put it on. When Percy looked down, he saw his body wasn't there anymore. He started creeping up the aisle. He managed to get up 10 rows, then duck into an empty seat just as the Furies walked past. Mrs. Dodds stopped, sniffing, and looked straight at Percy. His heart was pounding. Apparently, she didn't see anything. She and her sisters kept going. He made it to the front of the bus. They were almost through the Lincoln Tunnel now. He was about to press the emergency stop button when he heard the hideous wailing from the back row. The old ladies were not old ladies anymore. Their faces were still the same, but their bodies had shriveled into leathery brown hag bodies with bats' wings and hands and feet like gargoyle claws. Their handbags had turned into fiery whips. The Furies surrounded Grover and Annabeth, lashing their whips, hissing, "Where is it? Where?" The other people on the bus were screaming, cowering in their seats. They saw something. "All right. He's not here," Annabeth yelled. "He's gone. So go back to where you came from," Naruto said. The Furies raised their whip. Annabeth drew her bronze knife. Grover grabbed a tin can from his snack bag and prepared to throw it. As for Naruto, he was sitting there calmly. "Don't think just because you are the son of the master, we will go easy on you, boy," one of the furries said. "Really?" Naruto spoke in an emotionless tone. That sent chills down their spine. He looked at them with his Sharingan eyes and sent a killing intent toward them. "Because I don't think you three have enough power to handle me." Annabeth and Grover saw Furies were trembling with fear. Everything was going to okay, but again Percy had done something stupid, impulsive and dangerous. The bus driver was distracted, trying to see what was going on in his rearview mirror. Still invisible, he grabbed the wheel from him and jerked it to the left. Everybody howled as they were thrown to the right. "Hey!" the driver yelled. "Hey, whoa!" They wrestled for the wheel. The bus slammed against the side of the tunnel, grinding metal, and throwing sparks a mile behind. The bus careened out of the Lincoln Tunnel and back into the rainstorm. People and monsters tossed around the bus, cars plowed aside like bowling pins. Somehow the driver found an exit. They shot off the highway, through half a dozen traffic lights, and ended up barreling down one of those New Jersey rural roads. There were woods to left, the Hudson River to the right, and the driver seemed to be veering toward the river. With another great idea, Percy hit the emergency brake. The bus wailed, spun a full circle on the wet asphalt, and crashed into the trees. The emergency lights came on. The door flew open. The bus driver was the first one out, the passengers yelling as they stampeded after him. Percy stepped into the driver's seat and let them pass. The Furies regained their balance. They lashed their whips at Annabeth while she waved her knife and yelled in ancient Greek, telling them to back off. Grover threw tin cans. In whole thing, Naruto didn't even move from his seat. "Idiot Percy," he thought. "Hey!" Percy yelled, taking off the hat and revealing himself. The Furies turned, baring their yellow fangs at the son of Poseidon, and he instantly regretted it, which was easily seen thanks to his freaked-out expression. Mrs. Dodds stalked up the aisle, just as she used to do in class, like she was about to give him another failed paper. Every time she flicked her whip, red flames danced along the barbed leather. Her two ugly sisters hopped on top of the seats on either side of her and crawled toward him like huge nasty lizards. "Perseus Jackson," Mrs. Dodds said, in an accent that was definitely from somewhere further south than Georgia. "You have offended the gods. You shall die." "I liked you better as a math teacher," Percy said to her. She growled. Annabeth and Grover moved up behind the Furies cautiously, looking for an opening. Percy took the ballpoint pen out of his pocket and uncapped it. Riptide elongated into a shimmering double-edged sword. Mrs. Dodds growled. "Submit now," she hissed. "And you will not suffer eternal torment." "Nice try," Percy said to her. "Percy, look out!" Annabeth cried. Mrs. Dodds lashed her whip around Percy's sword hand while the Furies on the either side lunged at him. Percy felt like his hand wrapped in molten lead, but he managed not to drop Riptide. He stuck the Fury on the left with its hilt, sending her toppling backward into a seat. He turned and sliced the Fury on the right. As soon as the blade connected with her neck, she screamed and exploded into dust. Annabeth got Mrs. Dodds in a wrestler's hold and yanked her backward while Grover ripped the whip out of her hands. "Ow!" he yelled. "Ow! Hot! Hot!" The fury Percy had hilt slammed came at him again, talons ready, but he swung riptide and she broke open like a piñata. Mrs. Dodds was trying to get Annabeth off her back. She kicked, clawed, hissed and bit, but Annabeth held on while Grover got Mrs. Dodds's legs tied up in her own whip. Finally they both shoved her backward into the aisle. Mrs. Dodds tried to get up, but she didn't have room to flap her bat wings, so she kept falling down. "Zeus will destroy you," she promised. "Hades will have your soul. Brachas mes vesimini," Percy yelled, which oddly meant, "Eat my pants." Mr. Dude somehow managed to get free herself, but before she could attack him, a hand came out of shadow, caught her in midair. "That's enough," Naruto said. With his hand gestured, Shadow Hand choked her to death. She screamed and exploded into a dust. Suddenly, thunder shook the bus. "Get out!" Annabeth yelled. "Now!" They rushed outside and found the other passengers wandering around in a daze, arguing with the driver, or running around in circles yelling, "We're going to die." A Hawaiian-shirted tourist with a camera snapped Percy's photograph before he could recap his sword. "Our bags," Grover realized. "We left our..." Boom! The windows of the bus exploded as the passengers ran for cover. Lightning shredded a huge crater in the roof. "Let's go," Naruto said. "We don't want more of a problem than we already have." Then he disappeared with Annabeth, Percy and Grover from there. That's it for this reading. Hit like and subscribe for a free ticket pass going to the different worlds of anime fanfiction. Looking forward to having you on board again.